Welcome to Primetime, everybody. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
Going
It's
good.
going great. Excited to talk 2024 movies.
Yeah, Happy New Year's, everybody. So we're doing our best, top 16 horror movies of 2024. I'm very excited to get into this. Chad, do you want to explain how this is going to work?
Yeah, it's not like the most well thought out, but like how we kind of thought that we would do is because unfortunately we just didn't get around to doing like just legit reviews for every single movie. So we thought, hey, let's do like we've done it before, but let's do our top 16 of the year, and just kind of figure out what our overall 16 is going to be, and then we're going to do a bracket about that. And if my voice sounds different, it's because I'm sick. Just throwing that out there because I realize that I sound different. Um, but yeah, I figure what we could do is kind of do this ranking style, over on my channel, my other channel, Cinema Chad. We do you ranking with me, where we rank stuff all the time, and then we just kind of go from the bottom to the top. And so we're going to do the same thing here, is we're just going to go around, say our 16s, go through, and then I think we can like talk about the movies a little bit, not a lot, because there's a lot of movies, so you can kind of just generally, like with a few sentences, say what you thought about any given movie that we bring up, and then we can just leave it there. We just talk about them as someone says them, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we might get some stragglers, because I think there's just a couple that maybe we've seen but Hunter didn't see, or Hunter saw but we didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, we're going to put a little asterisk next to it and just try to figure out, how to actually get this to be our number one top 16. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually do it kind of like live right here. I have a letterbox list that I created from my own account, but I'm gonna just kind of create it there, and then that way we can get this. Oh, Carrie, I'm so sorry. let me actually do that so we can see your face. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was like that. Or let's just do that, and we'll swap places. There we go.
Okay.
That's a little bit
There we
better.
go.
Okay, so yeah, and I think this is going to be really fun. And then, hopefully in 2025, we'll be able to start watching more movies sooner, and then getting better reviews out and stuff like that. We're really looking forward to 2025. But yeah, without further ado, we got a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. So yeah, let me go to my. We just watched one of the movies. So I'm gonna be like changing mine around a little bit, actually. So Carrie, you start.
All right. My number 16 is the movie we just finished watching for this, Heretic.
Okay. Do we want to talk about Heretic a little bit? We've all seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie, you start, because I
Okay.
haven't ranked it yet.
Okay, we just watched this. It is a movie that deals pretty heavily with religion. If you've seen the preview, it has, Hugh Grant and two women from the Church of Latter-day Saints come knocking at his door. I don't want to spoil anything. I thought it was a very interesting movie with interesting ideas. It went different places that I definitely did not expect. Thought it was very well done. I thought all the acting was fantastic. There's really like three main characters here in this movie. I thought all of them were phenomenal. So yeah, Hunter, what did you think about this movie?
So I really loved this film. The one thing I love about it is, one, Hugh Grant's performance, I think, is insanely good. But the idea of, telling the story of these two opposing forces, one who believes in religion and one who doesn't believe in religion, and giving them both examples of, I can see both their points, but it's really who do you want to believe in? Pretty much, which is kind of the whole theory of the movie is that, if you put your trust into something, are you putting your trust into a god, or are you putting it into kind of this, free will, free spirit of like human life, which I really like. I like when horror movies can delve deeper into this kind of, thin line between believing in a higher power or believing in you have free will and you make your own destiny. I think this movie really does tie that in very well. There are some really good, suspenseful moments. I'm not one to do with a blueberry pie. I'm not going to ruin it because I believe it's still fresh, but that scene was really really good. So yeah, I actually have this higher up on my list. But yeah, I really love this film.
And if you, well, yeah, let's not reveal spots right now because that's what we're doing with the thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have this a little bit higher than Carrie as well. We just saw it, so I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. But yeah, like you guys said, I really love the acting performances in there, especially Hugh Grant. I think he's just always great, but like this was like a role that was like really great. I loved how he was just kind of strange, but like a little bit, demented. I won't go further than that in
Hmm.
explaining him, but I love how he like was bringing up like pop culture references. He was talking about like Radiohead and stuff like that, which is always a big plus for me. And like he brought up a specific like event in Radiohead's career that like I was actually following when it was happening. So it was just kind of cool to like hear him bring that up, and I'm like, oh, I know about that. And a lot of stuff. And I just think like it was like really well written, and it kind of reminded me of Barbarian from was 2022.
Hmm.
Because it was like one of those things where it's like, I mean, there's literally like go down to the basement kind of a deal. Go
Yeah,
down
it
the
starts as one movie and ends with another movie.
Yeah, and I just loved how it just like you have to follow that those steps down, and like to figure out what the rest of the mystery is going to be. And just kept me guessing. I thought the reveals were really cool, and it's hard to write uh I think a movie with just three people in it. I think they just like it was like a 2 hour movie too. So it's not like
Hmm.
they made a short 90-minute movie. This was a longer one for a horror movie. And I think it like kept me engaged the entire time with like all of the dialogue, and I was just so interested in like hearing these what these people had to say and stuff. And
Hmm.
what's her name? Carrie Sophie Turner?
Sophie
Sophie.
Thatcher.
Sophie Thatcher. I think Sophie Turner's from Game of Thrones. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sophie
Sansa Stark.
Thatcher. Sophie Thatcher. She's in what's that new movie
Yellow
from?
Jackets.
No,
Oh,
okay,
she's in Yellow Jackson.
all right. She's
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
that, but she's also
Companion.
Companion, and from 2025 is a new horror movie. We'll be talking about that at some point, I imagine. But she also she sang the cover of "Knock on Heaven's Door" that plays at the end of the movie, which is
Oh,
like
really?
cool. Okay, Carrie looked it up. We were like, oh, like this is
That's
from the
awesome.
actress in the movie. But yeah,
Hmm.
anyways, Heretic I thought was really great. So we can move on.
Chloe
Hunter,
East also is really good.
yes, yes,
I thought she was actually pretty. She was pretty phenomenal. Like she was so
agree,
Hmm.
believable to me. Like
agree. We might have to talk about our awards, which we'll talk more about maybe at the end of this. But yeah, Hunter,
Hmm.
what is your 16?
All right, so my number 16 is Oddity.
All right, cool. Go ahead and talk
Um,
about it.
okay, so this is one that for the first two halves, I wasn't really into it. I think the ending of it really makes me want to go back and rewatch it to kind of see if I like the first two halves even more. Um, there are some points that I feel is very, very slow, like maybe towards the middle. Like you could really take, I think, 5 to 10 minutes and shave it off of this film, and I think it would actually be better because you would have, I don't know, more like of a better paced film in my opinion. Um the acting is good. There are some really good scares, which I appreciate as well. It's just not one that really hooked me from, beginning to end.
I don't know if I'm gonna know till the end. Sorry. Sorry.
We
We're talking
unmuted
about
at the
plus-
worst part. I'm sorry.
So,
And I'm realizing now that I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to actually make this list until the end. So I'll bring that out later, and I'll just like have us be. Oh no, not like
not
that.
like that.
Be like this, so it'll be
Oh.
centered.
I was thinking too, if one of us says something that's not in our top 16, when we talk about it, we should say where it is on our list, assuming because I think we have everything we've seen ranked.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help with determining what will actually be in the top 16 or not.
There's got to be something that you ranked, you put in your list, because I have 21. You said you have 22. Like, what the hell did you watch that I didn't watch? Is it something? Oh, I didn't rank that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we both have 22 and Hunter has 23. It's okay. This is more of a candid episode.
Yeah, sorry. And I do kind of wish we had finished Terrifier 3 so I would know where to rank it. I don't want to prejudge it based on what we've seen so far, Okay.
Correct, but we've seen at least half of it. Okay. I still won't rank it, but I'm just saying, like,
all right.
I don't think it would make my 16.
Gotcha.
Currently.
Yeah, but it still might factor. Anyways, Oddity. Do you want to talk about Oddity first?
Yeah. Oddity is very similar to Heretic for me, where I feel like it's very well written with very few players. But the cast is amazing. It's like some very hateable people. One person that you think you're gonna hate that you don't actually end up hating, and then one actress who plays two roles and two sisters, which I thought was like really incredible. That that was one person playing two different parts because it just like that seemed like so distinct, even though they were sisters. I just thought it was like so well written and like all the scares really got me. There's like some great like supernatural type stuff that was happening that was like really creepy and like really well done as far as like how it's presented, and it didn't like feel fake or anything. And it felt like, every little piece of the puzzle that was, being built or whatever was like really well paced, I think is what I'm trying to say. And like, there's certain parts where, because there's like the wooden thing that you've seen in the trailers and stuff. At one point,
so creepy too. I love it.
Point it's just looking forward, and another point, you look at it and it's looking up, and you're like, "Whoa, what the hell?"
It's slightly moving in every shot, which I love.
Yeah, and I think that stuff like that where it's not necessarily like jump scares, but it's just something uncanny and different. It's just so weird. But yeah, I think ultimately, it's like a story of sisters. Kind of reminds me of Evil Dead Rise a little bit, I guess. And just, I kind of like that type of stuff. So yeah, anyways, I thought Oddity was pretty great. So Gary.
Yeah, I love this one. I have this ranked pretty high. And I get what you mean, Hunter. I don't know. This was one where we really did just like, and it's kind of rare for especially me to have the opportunity to do this, like sit down, like no distractions, lights off at night and watch a horror movie. And then like we really set it up for ourselves to be kind of scared by this one. I thought it was really good. Like the beginning, like there's like a scene with a tent that I think is one of the most terrifying scenes of this year.
Yeah.
And like really even I think all the way up until the end of this movie. And I don't want to spoil anything. It's a little hard, but I don't want to spoil anything. I loved how this movie ended, though.
I mean, so for Oddity, it came out at the middle of the year. It's 2025 now. If you want to talk about it, we can. Just for Heretic,
I would just say like you really don't need to because we're kind of
Yeah.
like
Okay.
brief on these, if that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sorry,
Yeah.
I should be briefer. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to do spoilers, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I do think that the thing that Carrie mentioned was actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Like it wasn't like a funny movie, but then they're not afraid to like throw in kind of like a
Oh,
cheeky moment.
I did want to say the characters. I really like the characters, like especially. Um, there's a character who is stuck with one of the sisters for a while.
The
I don't even want to.
mistress. Oh, I guess that's a spoiler.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil. She wasn't a mistress. She's
His new wife.
his new.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, his
wife.
new wife.
Yeah. I loved her. She was hilarious, and
Mhm.
she was like doing all the right things, all the things you want someone to do in a horror movie. She's doing them.
Yeah. All right, Hunter started with that one, so I'll go to my 16, which was Abigail.
Okay.
And so I'll start with Abigail. This one's interesting. Like I feel like maybe if I saw it a second time, it might raise higher, but like there's a lot of setup in Abigail before it starts going off the walls.
Mhm.
And I sometimes like compare it to Ready or Not a lot because it's radio silence, and I feel like Ready or Not is just the far better version of this. I mean, they're different, but similar stuff happens in them that like
Mhm.
it's fun to compare them. Like, oh, that's a radio silence thing. They did it again. Um,
Definitely have their style.
Yeah.
and it's fun to see that stuff, but I don't know, like the setup just took so long for me that I just kind of was starting to be like, I don't think I'm gonna like this.
Mhm.
Which I'm okay with slow burn stuff, which I'm not saying Abigail's slow burn, but like I'm fine with slow burn if like someone like oh god, who's the guy who does X and Pearl?
Oh, Ty
Ty
West.
West.
West does it because he's like a master of slow burn, and Robert
Mhm.
Eggers and stuff too. But with this, I just feel like the pacing was a little off. But like once we got to like the actual cool parts, I was like really like what like on board. So I feel like that's why I ranked it a little bit lower, is because there's some stuff that I really love in the movie, but I feel like it's only in like one half of it. But even though, I mean, not saying like the stuff in the first half isn't cool too, but just not as cool maybe. And I
Mhm.
like some of the twists and stuff that they did, and a lot of the effects were great and stuff. So yeah, I think Abigail's a really cool movie, and honestly, like anything in my top 16, I'm gonna recommend people
Mhm.
watch. Um, so that's it. Being at my 16 doesn't mean that I didn't like it. So Carrie,
Yeah.
Abigail.
Yeah, the more we talk about these and I look at my ranking, I'm like, I really want to rearrange a lot of these, but I'm
Mhm.
keeping it how I said it. But in the future, I might be like completely different on some of these movies. Abigail, I have a little bit higher ranked. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. Just it's not quite as high up as some other movies that I just enjoyed more.
Mhm. Yeah, so I have that one ranked a little bit higher as well. Radio silence is always going to have kind of not a special place in my heart, but just like I like their style of movies. I like their way that they combine horror and effects and comedy in such a really fun way. And with Abigail, it's a very fun movie, and I get that there's a little bit of extra setup that maybe they could have cut from the beginning, but I think what it does really well is that it makes you care with the core characters that we have in a way that if you kind of shaved, 5 minutes off, maybe you wouldn't have cared about those characters when the mayhem started. Like I care about Joey, Melissa Barrera's character, and Angus Cloud, and just the ensemble cast. I think really work well, off of each other. That with the quips and the kind of jokes, but at the same time, you realize what is at stake in this film. Like this film does have stakes. Pun intended. Steaks. See what I did there?
Yep.
It was not planned. But no, I had a really good time with this film.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did want to really highlight also the performances I thought were good, like Alicia Weir from like Matilda the
So
musical,
good.
and then this. I just can't wait to see how her career goes forward because she's great. And then Melissa
Catherine
Bray.
Newton, hilarious.
Oh yeah, she's incredible in this. I agree. And then Melissa Barrera. That's the other movie that I forgot to watch too. Was Your Monster.
Your Monster,
That I really,
very fun.
I think I'll probably really like that one. So that's another one that we just didn't get to that we will after, but we'll have to shout it out on something else if we really liked it. But yeah, okay. Moving on to Carrie's
Carrie.
number 15.
Yeah, my number 15 is Beetlejuice. I guess I'll start talking about it. This was a really fun movie. A lot of the effects were really cool. There were just parts of it I was like, I don't know. I was kind of checked out on. Parts of it were really like there was like a middle sequence like that I thought was really good and solid, but kind of the beginning and towards the end, I wasn't feeling as much. I mean, overall though, like a good fun sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, on to me. Yeah, so I have this one a little bit higher on my list. Not super high, but I really enjoyed this movie. So Beetlejuice, the original, is my favorite Tim Burton film of all time. So the one thing I love that this movie does is that it gives Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice more screen time to kind of like flesh out his character a little bit well, and you learn more of his backstory and you learn more about stuff that happened, before the events of the first movie. They did have to do some retcons, obviously, because of was it Jeffrey Jones who plays the father? So, they had to cut him out in some way. I'm not going to spoil it. But I love the addition of Jenna Ortega. I think she works perfectly in this style of film. She's going to become somebody who works with Burton a lot, and I'm super excited to see that. This film is just fun. It's fast paced. It's well paced, in my opinion. Like, there isn't anything that I can say, maybe cut this out, but there is a slight plot point that I'm like, maybe you could have written that a little bit better, and that's why it's not higher up on my list.
So, I saw this in the theater, and it was like one of those theater moments where times where I saw it. I was like hanging out with my mom and seeing it, and we, had like a really good time watching it. And there was a specific sequence, and it's like a big musical sequence in the movie
Oh,
that I
yes.
like loved, and it was like, this is amazing. And like I kind of like ended on that high where I was like, do I like this better than the first one? Where I think that's kind of crazy to say because I mean that's a classic, and it's like so tight and everything. I think there are some like interesting stuff that this brings up that the first one doesn't have, and but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to compare it to the original. A lot of these like 20 or well, no more than that, like 40 years later sequel. That's like you know, really interesting. But like, I think one of the big things about this is it just feels like a kind of a committee written script a little bit, where it's like they wanted to get this in, this in, this in, this in, but they didn't know how to weave it all together right. And it feels like certain things are just cut off at some point. Like there's a plot point with, I'll say, Jenna Ortega's like love interest in the movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of like cut
That's the
short.
plot point I was talking about. That I was like, if you wrote that a little bit more or get a little bit more time, maybe it would have been fleshed out better.
Yeah. And there's like other moments like that are supposed to be really emotional that I don't think hit that hard. And then there's like a big villain character that kind of doesn't really go anywhere. And so I can see from like a writing standpoint, this one's not really that great, but like there's certain aspects and certain sequences in it, and Michael Keaton and that are actually like firing in all cylinders and doing like really
Mm-hmm.
great work. And I just really adore that
Catherine
musical.
O'Hara is so freaking funny in this movie, though.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Even she's kind of cut short a little bit there
Mm-hmm.
with a certain thing that happens with her character and whatnot. But yeah, it I would say like it's both disappointing, but then also kind of cool. So that on my rewatch, I'm kind of like coming around to that where I'm like, I really like it, but it could have been way
Mm-hmm.
better. So all right, so we'll move on to Hunter's 15.
All right, so my number 15 is The First Omen.
Right. Hunter, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this was one of the two horror movies that I watched first this year because I believe it came out early in 2024. Did not know what to expect. I saw The First Omen, loved it, but the idea of doing a prequel seemed like, why are we doing this? Like, are we just, you know, running this franchise dry pretty much? But what I love is that they took this film and it expanded the lore on it, which I love, but also made it to where it could connect to the original movie and it doesn't feel forced, which I love. The acting I think is great. Neil Tiger Free, I believe is her name. She is incredible in this film. There are some very scary moments. The opening sequence of this film is terrifying. I did not expect it to go this bloody, but I'm glad that it did. What's his name? Ray. Is it Ray?
Ralph.
Oh no, yeah, Ralph Emerson is incredible in this film. I believe the first time I saw him was in The Witch
Yeah.
as the father. He's now playing Galactus, which I think is awesome. He's voicing Galactus in the Fantastic Four film. But yeah, I mean, this film is great. I think the problem I have, not problem I have with it, is that I wish we had a little bit more time with the character to kind of, extend what's going on with the church that we didn't get. And it feels like the movie was cut off at its legs at a certain point, and I wish we got more because the end does fly by really fast. I kind of wish we kind of slowed down a little bit and gave us more time to kind of learn more about the church and learn more about their customs, and then you kind of have the ending the way it is.
I don't remember like a whole ton about the first Omen, but because I did see it like a little while ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't given it a rewatch, but I did remember really liking it because I remember thinking it was extremely scary. Like I know this, I don't know like where Carrie like feels about this, like in conjunction to relation to the Omen, because I know she really loves the Omen. I don't really love the Omen. I think it's good, but like it's not like super like high up for me. So like for this
Mm-hmm.
one, I was like, this is like an Omen movie that I really, really like because it was really scary. Like you were talking about that opening scene. There's another
Mm-hmm.
scene with like a deformed girl or something. Just like a lot of really creepy demon stuff is happening. And Nell Tiger Free, like you mentioned, like she was incredible in this movie. Like the way she like started to like, get possessed and act weird
Mm-hmm.
because, of reasons. And I know some people had like issues with like how they tied it into the original The Omen, but honestly, I thought that was kind of cool too. So
Mm-hmm.
I just all around really liked it. I didn't have any like pacing issues with it that I remember, but on a rewatch, maybe I'll start seeing them. But I really like this one. I have it a little bit higher ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have this one higher ranked too. It has, this is like one of the ones we watched way at the beginning of the year. So it's a little hard to remember specifics. That's okay. I remember it being really scary, and I remember I really liked it. So, and
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes it good for a rewatch because I don't remember a lot of the scenes. So I think they'll still hold a lot of suspense for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember it being like really surprising. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like it didn't because movies like this a lot of the times aren't really that good. So we were like, this is actually a really good one. And we watched it like right after Carrie and I went to Italy. So we went to Rome
Oh, nice.
and then we came back and watched the first Omen and we were like, do we recognize anything? So
Heck
it's
yeah. I will
really
say there is a great scene in here that takes something from the original Omen and adds something to it that I think is really, really cool. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, it's again, spoilers, no spoilers. Does it matter
just
or
leave it alone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's try
it's
not to do
you
spoilers.
okay?
you hinted at something really cool so that maybe people would want to check it out now
Yeah.
because
I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu too. So
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely streaming.
yeah,
Mhm.
so I'll go ahead and do my 15. We already talked about it. Beetlejuice.
Oh, nice.
All
So
right.
now we could go to Carrie. Wait, Carrie's 14.
Yeah, my 14 is Nosferatu.
All right, okay. Um, and do you want to talk about that
Oh,
one?
yeah, sorry.
Well, really don't
Very no spoiler.
really don't say
Very brief.
much at all because Hunter has not
Mhm.
seen
Yeah.
Nosferatu yet.
Yeah.
It was good. There are things I definitely liked about it. The cinematography is beautiful. The acting is fantastic. I just found parts of it to be. It's a little lower on my list just because I'm not the biggest gothic horror fan. I don't really love what they did with Count Orlok in this movie. And honestly, I just found it to be a little bit slow paced without as much payoff as I would have wanted. But I also might have been tired. So
Well, I mean, that being said, you're not the first person that I've heard say I I had trouble staying awake during Nosferatu. Um, Not that they didn't like it or they didn't find specific things that they really enjoyed about it, because it's definitely not a bad movie. It's just one
Mhm.
of those because a lot of people are praising it, so it's
Yeah.
got a lot of love out there. But for Carrie and I, like we kind of like I felt like very similar. It feels like where I'm just like technically great, like a lot of great technical stuff. I mean, it's Robert Eggers. Dude knows how to do
Mhm.
his research. Dude knows how to do, great technical work, and just make his movies like pop and just look really great and be like technically like great with like his history and stuff like that. So if you're worried about it not being constructed well, it's don't worry about that. But it's just one of those because it does have like kind of that dreamy quality, and stuff. It might be a little bit sleepier, but yeah, I agree. I didn't love a lot of the choices that were made with Count Orlok, and then I also felt like it was in certain parts like too like jump scare y, especially because like I just a part for me and like Robert Eggers is that like he normally knows how to make horror movies without that, where it's more
Mhm.
atmosphere and stuff like that. I feel like there's a mix of both of that in this one, which I was like maybe could have been done a little bit better, but like I said, a lot of people are loving this one. But yeah, the acting is great, particularly Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought was pretty incredible from like a supporting role. Oh, and my other kind of nitpick is like didn't really feel like it gave me anything new, since I've seen a lot of like Nosferatu and Dracula type stories, so it just felt kind of similar. But I'm excited to hear Hunter's take on it when he's able to see
I
it.
I cannot wait to see it. That was my one of my most anticipated of last year.
hmm
Yeah, and you might love it, so I'm
yeah,
hoping you do.
I wouldn't be surprised if you really love it,
Yeah.
Hunter.
Awesome.
All right, so moving on
Hunter's
to Hunter's
14.
14.
All right. So my number 14 is Immaculate. So I have that slightly above the first Omen. Um, I feel like this movie was, I'm not gonna say more well paced, but from the beginning of the movie, you knew what type of movie this was gonna be, which was more of a faster paced, you know, religion movie, and I think they really embarked on that really well. I'm also a huge fan of Sydney Sweeney. I think she did amazing in this film. The ending is bonkers, which I absolutely love that they went that far with it. Um, yeah, and I also feel like Immaculate gave us more time with her church and with her as a nun to kind of understand. Okay, now we can really see the strings being pulled.
Yeah, for me, this is actually kind of very similar to Abigail, and my criticisms for it, where I like certain parts of it, like I like the second half, but like the
Mhm.
first half, I felt like it was a lot of Sydney Sweeney just reacting to crazy shit, and I'm just like, okay, and it just like really felt like it wasn't really going anywhere until it actually kicked into gear, and you had her
Mhm.
like take control of the situation a little bit more, um, and stuff. So I was just kind of like, I didn't even think it was going to be a good movie for a while until it kind of kicked into gear. So I'm on the fence. I didn't
Mhm.
place this. It didn't place in my 16. So
Where did it place for you?
21
20.
out of 23.
Um, I like this a little bit more than Chad did, not as much as Hunter did. I guess it's off of my 16, but it's like at number 18 for the year.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I thought the end was really cool. Um, I don't know. I guess
It got nuts for sure.
it did get really nuts, and I do think it
Yeah.
did pay off really well. I think there's just more other things I enjoyed more this year. I think that's really all it is that I
Yeah,
just enjoyed some of the other films a little bit more.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. All right. So now we'll move on to my something, my
You're
14.
14.
My 14 is It's What's Inside, which is like
I haven't seen this one, so.
a Netflix one. All right, well, won't get into spoilers, but like Carrie and I watched this, and I thought it was like really cool. It's a really interesting concept. It's kind of like a body swap kind of movie.
Mhm.
That's like for the concept. That's all I'll really say. But I feel like they did a really good job of like building up a lot of the problems between a lot of the people. So it kind of felt like Hunter. This might get you to want to watch it because I felt like it was very bodies, bodies, bodies in a way.
Ooh.
Because it was like a lot
Okay.
of, like people having different problems, and then there was
Mhm.
like a scenario that helped them talk about their problems and stuff, and crazy things started happening, and it was really
Okay.
interesting. You,
Interesting.
you start getting confused a little bit about like who's in what body and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
it just gets really interesting. I feel like it was just really well written in like a way that like you know you're just engaged about like what's going on really and trying to figure out, and then I feel like stuff at the end really wrapped it up really well, and performances were good, and just like a really cool trippy like sci-fi horror, so
Yeah, this was also outside of my top 16. I had it actually at 19. Again, that it was a really cool concept movie. Like the editing was really well done.
Mhm.
Just other things I liked a little bit better this year, but I would still recommend it to anyone. Like it's a little bit confusing, but not in a bad way. Like the way it's done is just it's really cool.
Okay. Awesome. Can't wait to check it out. All
um
right. So we are on Carrie's
Yeah,
14.
my 13.
13.
So my 13 is Strange Darling.
Oof.
Another really cool like film that's done like with editing, like the way
Mhm.
it's edited. Um I feel like maybe this one didn't hit quite as hard for me as I think you guys both have this ranked higher. I feel like
Mhm.
some of it like was not intentionally spoiled for me, but just like hearing the things people were saying about it,
You
even
gotta
like
stop
kind of
listening to stuff before
it's
you
not
see
even
it.
listening to things. It's just like being online and
Mm-hmm.
like I even like the preview a little bit. Like I would say some of the things that happen in this movie aren't quite as like didn't hit as hard for me, but I
Mm.
think it was still really well done, and I think that Willa Fitzgerald was just absolutely phenomenal in this movie.
She's so good.
Hunter.
Yeah, so this is the one movie of the year that I watched it not knowing anything about it. And that is what the twists and turns in it made me invested because I didn't know what this movie was. I just saw it, I was like, this looks interesting, and I watched it, and the way it does its editing and light, like not even spoilers, it's done, the editing style is done in a way of Pulp Fiction, which Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie of all time. So that kind of style working in a horror thriller works perfectly for me. I think Willa Fitzgerald is incredible. Kyle Gallner is incredible. He's been having a great what 2 or 3 years in horror.
Mhm.
Just everything he's been doing is incredible. Yeah, so I have this one higher up, and I kind of get what Carrie's saying though. Like when you go into a movie, maybe having it hyped up more than you expect, and then you watch it, it could dampen it when you watch it. But this is a movie that I'm very excited to go back and rewatch because of how the editing is.
Yeah, this would definitely make a great rewatch because of like, knowing certain things about it and then going back and like
Mm-hmm.
seeing it play out with that knowledge, I think would be really cool. But yeah, I really liked Strange Darling. I think it was because of that surprise, like you said, Hunter, that I just didn't really know what was going on, and I was just like sitting there really like guessing throughout it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was like, it's like there was a certain like game that was being played toward the beginning, and then like, and then it was like I was like, well, they're not continuing that game because it's getting really serious right now. It's hard to explain without spoilers,
Yeah.
but I did really think that the story was told well from the non-linear perspective where it shows
Mm.
something later and then it shows earlier, and the earlier's in like a totally different context now because you, or the later's in totally different context now because of something you learned, and it's hard to explain, but I think
Yeah.
everything falls onto Willa Fitzgerald's performance, and I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was so freaking amazing. Like, you know, I don't even want to say certain things, I don't want to ruin it, but I love how it plays with your expectations, um, because you would in a horror scenario or like a relationship scenario, you might expect one thing to happen, and Strange
Mm-hmm.
Darling is like it's the complete opposite of what you thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And, I just love that. That was so cool. So yeah, I just love the style of it too. So yeah, I really like that one. Um, so we're going to Hunter's 13.
Yeah.
All right. So my 13 is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. So we've already talked about that.
All right, so we'll go to my 13,
Yeah.
which is Trap. Um,
Ooh,
so
nice.
so Trap, I really really like. I'm I'm wishy washy on M Night Shyamalan. There's
Mm-hmm.
some that I just adore, and there's some that I really don't like. And I love how M Night makes movies to where your most hated M Night Shyamalan movie, or maybe not counting like After Earth or Last Airbender or stuff like that,
Last Airbender is awful.
but like your like something that you might really not like from him, others might love, kind of a
Mm-hmm.
deal. So I think Trap is very similar because I know some people just cannot get on board with things that you have to just ignore, like, logic and just, certain things like that. Um, you have to just kind of throw away and just realize you're watching an M. Night Shyamalan movie right now,
Mhm.
so um, you just kind of got to go with it. And I feel like I just talked about Strange Darling, that Willa Fitzgerald was the reason that movie worked so well. And for this one, it's Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett. Yep.
Is incredible in this movie. He's just so crazy and weird. And I just, thought he like really crushed it. I think Salika was really good in it too. She's M. Night's daughter.
Mhm.
And I forget all the names, but the girl who played the daughter um, was great. And I just love how it was kind of like a horror thriller Taylor Swift concert that just goes off the rails.
Mhm.
Um, and you're kind of following in like the killer's perspective, but it's not like a Dexter type of thing. It's
Mhm.
more like, this is like a bad guy, but like very early in the beginning of the movie, you realize this, but you're still kind of like fascinated about where this is gonna go and stuff. So I thought it was really cool.
Um, I had this outside of my top 16. It was number 20 on my list for me. I thought it was fine. I thought it was like one of M. Night Shyamalan's more middling movies. Didn't love it. Didn't. It wasn't like an abomination though. It was entertaining. But not my favorite of the year. I think yeah. So, what did you think, Hunter?
Yeah. So this just was outside my top 16. It's my number 17 on my list. Um, I love I really love the first two halves of this movie. I think the stuff after the concert, I think does go on just a little bit too long, and I think that Salik does a good job with what she's given, but she's not the best actress in the world. So I think having to rely a lot on her for the back half kind of hurt it in my opinion, but I don't know. I get that you have to have this big manhunt, or I mean, not really spoilers. You know what this movie is, but you got to have that third act for it to make sense. I kind of wish it was kind of tighter, and then I would have really loved it. It's not. I kind of agree with Carrie. It's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing. It's kind of in the middle for me, but it's kind of higher middle than it is towards the back end.
Yeah, I think you just kind of got to go with it and kind of enjoy it. But like with
Mm-hmm.
M Night too, like I don't think like you're except for if you're watching The Sixth Sense or Signs or something, you're never really watching a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies for the acting. There's
Mm-hmm.
exceptions like Dave Bautista and stuff like that, and Josh
I
Hartnett.
mean, Split, like James
That's
McAvoy is
that's true.
amazing.
But he finds ways to take like people who give like maybe not so great performances and just like
Mm-hmm.
still make it work. I feel like, but yeah. Anyways, that being said, we can talk about Trap later. We're moving on to what, Carrie? Your 12.
Yeah, so my 12 is Late Night with the Devil.
Ooh,
Uh,
nice.
so this one is another one. I think all of us actually watched this towards the beginning of the year because it
Yep.
was streaming so early. I think it was actually released at festivals in 2023. This is like David Dastmalchian, like it's like a 70s late night host. Really cool concept. A lot of the effects were really cool. I thought it was really fun. Not my quite my favorite, like one of my favorites of the year, but I think a very, very solid movie. Would love to go back and revisit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have this one kind of higher up on my list, not super high, but yeah, this was one of the 3 or 4 like horror movies of 2024 that I watched. And this is the movie that showed me that David, I cannot say his last name to save my life, Dastmalchian.
Yeah.
That's it.
There, I got it. That he can really lead a movie because I've seen him in like supporting performances. And I think he was great. This one showed me that he can be like a leading actor, especially in something like this where it's more of a character driven story, because I think his acting is really well. And what I love is his facial acting. I think is really well, because he can give a look on the camera and you can see he's hiding something, but you're not sure what it is. And I love that they have this mystery thread that's going all the way through the movie. And then at the end, the big reveal, it makes sense. You kind of see what he's doing. The supporting characters I love. Like, I love his little what's his the guy he makes fun of all the time? Gustavo?
It's
No, Gus. Gus. Like, I love like that character. I also love the way that it takes the found footage format and kind of adds something new to it, because you're watching this as a late night like Halloween episode, but what's cool is they'll go backstage and it's shot completely different, which I love. It's so many cool camera angles and editing styles in this film that I really love.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting one. Hunter brought up a great point that I didn't really think about, is that like David Dastmalchian is amazing. I love him. He's like great in so much stuff, but he's like a lot of the times, most of the time, he's a side character. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or like supporting. And like this was a really great like lead thing from him. As we all know too, like he a lot of the times will host the Chainsaw Awards, so he's like
Yeah,
really
he's hilarious.
and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see more from him and just anything he wants to do, because he's so incredible. But yeah, this movie I just thought was like a really interesting concept, design, how it was executed was really cool. It's like very like psychological and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. This is one that I definitely need to rewatch too, because it's like Carrie said, it's been so long since we've seen it that I just don't remember a ton about it, but I do remember like specific things, and it was pretty scary at certain parts. So and it really get
Yeah,
caught.
there's a certain possession scene in this film that I think is really, really, really strong.
Yeah. And it really gave that vibe of like 70 throwback 70s talk show kind of a thing, which is really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I like that one as well. I have it well, I'll just have it that like ranked the exact same as Carrie. So there you go.
All right, are we on my 12?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so my number 12 is Abigail. So we just talked about that as well. So we
And
move over to Chad.
I just said Mike 12 is Late Night with the Devil too. So
All right, back to Carrie.
for
Okay.
11.
My number 11 is Destroy All Neighbors, which is like an indie horror comedy about this guy. He's like a magician, and like all this like crazy stuff happens to him, and like what's his name is in it?
Alex Winter.
Yeah, Alex Winter. He plays this like really
Ooh.
off the wall
He's Bill from Bill and Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Character. I just thought this one was really fun, and like for like I'm just like so well done for like a little indie horror movie. I really enjoyed it, and I like would definitely check this out again.
Yeah. Hunter, did you see that one?
I haven't seen it. I have to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's a really interesting one. It's like a silly little horror movie like on Shudder. And that's not meant to like downplay it or dismiss it. Like I like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't place in my 16, it was my 18.
Okay.
But yeah, I also had a lot of fun with it. It was really funny. It was like essentially about a guy who's trying to like record music, and he's having a hard time doing that because some asshole neighbor moved in near him, is making a lot of noise. But then like it goes crazy from there. It just gets so weird, and then it like goes, and there's another like kind of like music creation scene, which is like really cool. So and they're
Mm-hmm.
just it just goes to like really crazy places, and it's not afraid to get weird. So if you like that type of stuff and like original Shutter content, like Scare Package and all that type of stuff, you'll probably really dig this one. A really cool indie horror movie.
This sounds like right down my alley, like a movie
Yeah,
like I would love.
you would, I think. Yeah, it's funny. So, um,
Nice.
All
mo-
right.
Are we on my 11?
yep.
All right, so my number 11 is A Quiet Place Day One.
Nice.
I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think the acting alone is incredible. Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, um, Alex Wolf, right? Yeah, it's not his brother Nat.
Yes. Alex.
Okay, yeah, I think they're all incredible, and I love that this franchise is a franchise because it gives us something different, and it's like I love the concept of like, you can't make loud noises or these creatures will come and hunt you down. What I love is this movie tells you the beginning of it, and it's just like with The First Omen. It's a prequel that ties into the other movies really well, but it can be watched by itself. Like you don't have to be it doesn't rely on the other movies. It's a really good just standalone movie, which I love.
Yeah, A Quiet Place Day One, when I saw it for a little brief period of time, was like my favorite movie of the year. Um,
Nice.
because I got to go see it in the theater, thought it was incredible. Rewatched it when it came to streaming because Carrie hadn't seen it. Still really really loved it. It's a Michael Sarnowski movie. He made
Mhm.
Pig. If you've seen Pig, which is incredible, and it's like one of
I don't
those
think I've
movies.
seen Pig. I've heard of it, definitely.
It'll crush you. It was one that we saw in the theater, and like I went to the bathroom, and Carrie was just sitting there crying in the theater for a little bit afterward.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Because we had a pet that
we
passed
we
away, and
our cat Sydney had passed away not long before we saw it.
it's about like love of pets and
Yeah.
things like that. And but the point, the reason I bring up the director is because he knows how to make very like character driven, like sweet, um, but like bittersweet kind of movies that will make you sad but make you feel a lot. And
mhm.
he really brought that to this, and like showed us like the building of the relationship between these characters to where at the very end, you are, I'm not going to say what happens, but you are like almost in tears, if not in tears, because of what happens to specific characters. But I love those two characters and stuff. I don't have it placed as high as I thought I was going to for this
Mhm.
specific list because you know I think it's a better movie than it is a horror movie. Because I think like the horror aspects are kind of the weaker part of it, where I think it's just like a sweet character driven movie first and foremost, and the horror stuff is just kind of in the background, which is like I
Mhm.
think why a lot of people who didn't like the movie um, didn't like it because they wanted just a quiet place like where they explained the creatures and
Just a monster movie.
yeah, and
Mhm.
we got less of that and more of like a sweeter movie. So um, this is an odd case where it should be ranked a lot higher for me, I think, but it's not because I feel like the stuff that's above it did horror a lot better, but it's
Mhm.
still pretty high for me on my list too. So I really liked it, basically.
Yeah, I loved it. I have this ranked pretty high. I thought I didn't like judge based on like how like horror is it versus drama. Like it's a horror movie and I really liked it, so I put it higher.
Yeah,
Uh
that's definitely a discussion we can have for higher up movies.
yeah, yeah. I totally get the reasoning. Um uh yeah, and this movie was cat centric and
Oh
we're
yeah.
all
Yeah.
lovers, so
And
I
this is
love
the
it.
one spoiler is that the cat survives.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I just want to let you know because if you're anyone's like me, you want to know. Like, am I gonna have anxiety through this whole movie because I'm gonna the guy? So
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. Yeah.
what, like another
Oh.
different movie?
Yeah, I'll say it when we get to it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And so we'll move on. What, to my 11?
Yes.
My 11
Yes.
is Nosferatu.
Okay.
Even though it felt like I was kind of shitting on it, I ranked it. But it's not in my top 10. It's my number 11 because, I already talked about it, about its negatives and stuff. That being said, I think on rewatch, I could like it more than I did. I think it was just like a disappointment factor because I thought that specific ways that it was shot with the villain, I thought were going to be scarier. And to me, they weren't as much. And I think that might just not be what Robert Eggers was going for, and that might not be fair to what the movie actually is because I put maybe an unrealistic expectation on it. Just because it wasn't something that I wanted doesn't mean that's not good and not well done. So this one's kind of on the fence. Like, I think I could like it more. I want to go and actually watch and rewatch more like Nosferatu and Dracula type stuff to see where this ranks in like that canon of work. Because it could be one of the better told stories of it. Or it could be like how I thought in like just another
It's just
one.
taking pieces from other
Yeah, and then
adaptations.
I'm just like also like, did we need this, Eggers? Could you have just used your talents for something else? But it's also something that he loves and wanted to put his stamp on. So I don't know. But yeah, I liked a lot of it, but I had a lot of issues as well. Carrie.
Yeah, we already talked about this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to mention more because I had.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wait, because someone placed it?
Yeah.
You placed it.
Carrie placed it.
Right. Breaking our rules. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's fine. I do want to add, I'm kind of upset that I didn't watch this movie ahead of time because of the kind of discussions we could have about it on this list. Maybe I would have had it higher, but we can never know, because this one will already be recorded.
Yeah.
We'll love to hear your thoughts when you do see it.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
So now we'll go to Carrie's 10.
Yes, my number 10 is Abigail.
All right, Hunter, what's your 10?
My number 10 is Late Night with the Devil.
And my number 10 is The First Omen. All right, Carrie, what's your number 9?
Yeah.
Carrie needs a second.
Your number is The First Omen. Okay. My number 9 is Cuckoo. Hunter, did you see this one?
I did indeed.
Okay, awesome.
Is it in your 16?
It is not.
Okay, so just let us know like where it ranks though for you.
Yeah.
It's my number 22 out of 23.
Okay.
Wow.
Hunter didn't like.
I'm not saying I hate it, but I have specific reasons.
Okay, that's fine. I really like this. I'm a sucker for like a sister story though. What?
No, I was just going to tell you where it placed for me, but I will wait until it gets to me.
Just wait till you get to where it places.
I'm sorry.
No. I was just never mind. It does it really well because like if things are outside of our 16, we're not going to talk about. We have to talk about it now. Yeah, I really like this one. I don't know. It was like a cool sister story, I thought. And it was interesting. It was like completely different from what I expected. And I really like Hunter Schafer. I thought she was really good in this. Hunter, what did you think?
So I'm conflicted on this movie in a way where I feel like it tries too many different plot points, and to the point where they'll mention a plot point and then completely forget about it by the end of the film. And I wish that we would just have one major focus and then kind of have side characters have their plots, but there are so many kind of loose ends towards the end of this film that not only was I kind of confused about what was going on, especially towards the end, I don't feel like they really explained enough about like what was going on in the film. But there's so many loose plot points that like when they introduce something, I know they're not going to talk about it later on, so I just kind of check out personally. That's kind of why I have it ranked lower. But I'm glad that a lot of people are really enjoying this film, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I put it at 19
Okay.
out of 23. Um, like it's one where, yeah, I loved Hunter Schafer's performance. I thought she was incredible.
Hmm.
Um, and and whatnot. Like I didn't really care that much about Dan Stevens in it, which I was surprised because I like him in a lot of stuff, like The Guest and even Abigail. I thought he was great
Hmm.
in Abigail. Um, but but yeah, I think that's why I think Hunter Schafer in particular was what held this movie together for me. Um, I thought it was just weird. I thought like the weird stuff worked. The we'll see like continuous like imagery of something and then it ties in at the end, and I thought that was kind of cool. um but yeah, I mean it's one that I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a very mid movie,
Hmm.
but um I liked it enough, and I liked her performance, and that's about it. So that's why it didn't rank in my 16, but I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
All right. Hunter, what was your number 9?
All right, so my number 9 is Alien Romulus.
Nice.
I absolutely love this movie, man. I think what Fede Alvarez did in this film was not only take it back to being as scary as the first two Alien films, but really gave us the vibe of the original, like the classic Alien film, but updated it, which I love. Like we have more fleshed out characters. Like I love the connection between Kelly Spaney and
Johnson.
David Johnson. Yeah, I think their connection really makes the movie for me because you care about them, especially going off like from the beginning. You know what their relationship is, and by the end, not only is it heart wrenching, but you are scared. There's a lot of intensity in this movie, and I'm a sucker for 1 or 2 location horror movies to begin with. And that's why I love the original Alien. It takes place right on the ship. This one, when we get on the ship, that's where I really sink my teeth in this film. And I think that's where it really like bumped it up for me.
Yeah, Alien Romulus is a very interesting movie. It's very divisive.
Is
When
it
it
really?
Yeah, it's one, well, specifically because there's one part dealing with resurrecting the dead is what I'll
Mm-hmm.
say. Is using like I don't know
Uh,
AI or technology
yeah.
to
Oh,
dead
okay.
actor, is what I mean. And a lot of people had an issue with that. There's, like maybe you could have done something different. I agree with that. I think maybe they could have made a better choice with that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, I agree, Hunter. I really, really, really like this movie quite a bit. This is another one that Carrie and I actually got to see in the theater together, which is really
I
cool.
wish I had that theater experience though.
Yeah, we went with some friends, and it was a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
And not at the same heights as Alien or Aliens, but honestly, pretty high. Like I loved everything they did with like the practical effects and the aliens and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but also the relationships, like you said, between a lot of the characters I thought were really great. And David Johnson was just so incredible. I know a lot of people had issues with callbacks to the other movies. Like if you look at other movies, kind of like Ghostbusters Afterlife or Halloween 2018, that's like throw it into like so many callbacks to earlier films and their respective franchises that some people had issues with that. Me, I thought it all kind of played in
Mhm,
pretty well. There's like
mhm.
one line that David Johnson's character says that I was like, okay, whatever, you got the line in, I get it. But for some people that might like roll their eyes at it, I kind of was like, whatever. They're like kind of laughing a little bit, like that's silly.
Mhm.
But also I've heard
But
other people.
doesn't this film take place between the first and the second one? So wouldn't there be callbacks to the original ship anyway?
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm talking about like specific like lines that were
Oh,
given.
oh, like lines. Okay,
Yeah, like
I got
dialogue.
confused. I was like in the film, it makes sense that they would reference other
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
past
course.
events.
But I also heard other people talk about specific lines. Hey, no, that actually worked so well in the movie, and they adapted it so well to like the characters and their motivations and stuff. So honestly, I think just Alien Romulus is a very well made film. I really, really like it, and I just wanted to bring up the criticisms because it helps kind of formulate where I fall into it a little bit too, because I disagree with a lot of the criticisms.
Mhm.
Even though I think there's at least one that people might be a little right on. But I can't wait to rewatch this movie. It's really
Yeah.
cool. Um, where are we at?
I really like this movie as
Oh,
well. I had it ranked just a little bit higher than Hunter, not much higher at all.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I thought it was like really nice, like refresh and original idea for this franchise, like while keeping in the spirit of the franchise, like keeping the monsters and everything. Like, it really worked for me.
I'm sorry. Just like I talked so long about Alien Romulus, and then I'm like, wait, what
You.
were we talking about? And Mary's like, I really liked it too.
I will say on the AI thing, I didn't get that it was AI to begin with, but I should have put it together that it was. Because I thought like maybe they used like CGI or
I don't
something,
know if
but
it's like legitimately like
It's
artificial
like
intelligence. I think it's like
it's whatever the thing they do now where
like
they take footage from an actor that has passed away and make it like
oh,
create it
so
in the movie.
like they did with Carrie Fisher and Tarkin from Star Wars.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
Um,
okay, so that one I kind of get, but there was one controversy for Late Night with the Devil that I never really subscribed to.
so that one was they used AI apparently for like one of the transition shots, like a title
Yeah.
card kind of a thing, and which they had like apologized for after they did it, but it
Hmm.
was they did it in order to kind of like, as from what I was able to gather, they did it in order to like kind of experiment with it a little bit, not knowing it was going to end up being controversial. And
Hmm.
then when the writer's strike happened and everything started to come out with AI, we're like, that's actually stealing other people's intellectual property and stuff
Yeah.
like that, because AI is just going and taking, it's not creating anything new. It's just taking
Hmm.
from other people's stuff and making something different. Um, and it's kind of problematic in a way because it's going to start taking people's jobs and stuff like that. So I think people like lumped all of that into Late Night with the Devil is problematic, but I don't really think so. I kind of agree with
Hmm.
you, Hunter.
Yeah.
No.
Um,
Sorry, like
no,
we
that's
start.
okay. I that was actually with Alien Romulus specifically. I don't know if it's AI, but it's like whatever the CGI thing they do for.
Yeah.
I thought like reason enough is that, well, I don't know how I feel about them using dead people for things. Like I think like that is weird, like
Yeah,
ethically, but also
Yeah.
it looked bad in the movie. I thought
it
it looked
did.
horrible.
Yeah.
It's like one
Yeah.
of the worst examples of that I've seen, like looking
So
bad.
supposedly, they said on the home release they made it look better, but I don't
I
It's
know.
will
just
say I kind of agree with Carrie on, it's kind of weird and kind of disrespectful to use dead actors. The only gray area I can see is if you ask the estate and the family permission first, and but but then it's a gray area there too. It's
Yeah.
weird dealing with like CGI like that and AI things like that. It's a really gray area.
Yeah.
I think.
I do. I don't want to like cut anybody's thoughts off, but I do think we should move on
Yeah.
because this
Yeah.
is a whole topic we could get into and make a whole episode about. So,
Definitely.
but yeah. So now, what are we on, Carrie?
You're number 9.
My number 9 is Quiet Place Day One.
Okay.
Okay.
And then your number 8, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna need to find a charger. My number 8 is Alien Romulus.
Okay. So we just talked about that. So it's on to my number 8.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Maxine. Ty West's Maxine.
That is one that you've seen that we haven't. So keep it spoiler free.
Yeah, definitely. So I love the X trilogy. I think X and Pearl are fantastic horror films. Maxine might be my least favorite of the 3, but the things that Ty West is able to do with an 80s inspired Hollywood surrounding, tying everything from X and Pearl, but also dealing with the Night Stalker as, this background villain. I think the way he incorporated that is genius because you're always looking in the background of stuff. You're like, is that him? Is that him? But he's not integral to the movie to where it would be disrespectful. Like, he is literally just a background character. But I think Mia Goth is incredible. I think the acting is great. Giancarlo Esposito is incredibly funny. So is Kevin Bacon. It ranks high up for me, not because, the writing was great. Like, the writing was good, but I had so much fun with this movie. And I think when I watch a movie, in my head, I'm like, all right, how many times am I going to rewatch this? I watched Maxine 4 times already. Just because I can go back, have it on in the background. It's something fun to watch that I'm not going to be depressed at the end watching it. And that ranks it a little bit higher up for me.
It's honestly very strange with Maxine because, we've been pretty big fans of X and Pearl on the channel. I've even grown to like X a lot more than the first time I saw it, and we reviewed them both on the channel. We haven't gotten around to reviewing Maxine or really talking about it except for now. And honestly, it's so weird because it came out and I just heard so many people being like, I was disappointed in it. I thought it was going to be great because of X and Pearl and stuff and how good they were. So honestly, it's just I've been putting it off because I just kind of keep forgetting about it. And there's always something else that I need to watch for something. And then we just never got around to watching it. And then I'm like, someone will bring it up. Like you just brought it up. And then I'm like, oh no, I really need to watch that. So we got to get to it. But obviously we haven't seen it. So it didn't place for us.
Maxine, I could see people being disappointed in. For me, though, it gave me exactly what I wanted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we'll move on to my 8, which is Alien Romulus.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Carrie's 7.
My 7 is Smile 2.
Oh, nice.
I like this better than the first one because the cat does not die in this movie. But also, I thought this one,
there we go.
They're both pretty scary. This one I thought just flowed a little bit better too. And Naomi Scott is just phenomenal. It's like she's in almost every scene of this movie, and she is entertaining just the entire time. I think her acting was phenomenal in it. The scares were really good. So yeah, It surprised me. I thought it was going to be like Chad saw it like basically with one other person in a movie theater at night, and he was like, "It's the scariest thing ever." So, and we watched it, at home, and it's just
Mhm.
not quite. It's never quite as scary that way. So, it wasn't quite as scary as I kind of thought it was going to be, but it's still the scares are absolutely fantastic, and it's a really cool, well done movie.
I disagree
Mm.
on the never quite as scary at home kind of a thing. It can be. Just
It
depends
can
on
be. That's
depend,
true. That's
The right
true.
setting
Yeah.
makes
we
a
didn't
huge
watch
difference.
it in one sitting. Um
Yeah.
so it's one of those you can't watch Hereditary while you're cooking in the daytime. You got to watch Hereditary with all the lights off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, Hunter.
Yeah, so I have Smile 2 higher up on my list. I really love this film. Before this movie was released, I had the question, and I even brought it up on, podcast, like horror headlines before. I was like, what is there more to tell that
Mhm.
you didn't like? Why do we need a sequel to Smile? I think Smile 1 had a great beginning, middle, and end. That if you just wanted that to be a movie by itself, it'd be good because you actually have a beginning, middle, and you do have an end. Maybe some people don't like the ending. I do. I like how kind of dark and depressing it gets at the end of that film. After watching it, I understand why there was a sequel, and I like that they expanded on this demon more and more. And to do it with somebody who like Sky, who has this big following, you can really delve into, you know, what is somebody who has access, the money and access and the alcohol and drug problems, what is that mix with the smile demon and what can they latch onto? I think they use that really well as kind of a trauma point of like, we know what her trauma is. Now let's attach that to her and let's kind of roll with this and see how crazy we can get her to go. Uh, Naomi Scott, I think, is fantastic. The slight nitpick I have for this film is I think the ending was too abrupt. I would have loved to see more of the ending and see like how wild it could have gone. But I mean, that's a small nitpick. And I also think they showed something in the trailer that I wish they didn't show. That's all I'll say.
Mhm.
I adore Smile 2. I think it's incredible. Um,
Mm,
it's still, I think, like in my top 10 of just movies of 2024, because
mm,
because of that, like Carrie talked about that theatrical thing. It was just so creepy. Um, just I had to change seats because I couldn't have anything behind me because of things. Like she's like staring in a mirror at one point, and then there's
mm-hmm.
a thing standing behind her, and I'm just like, I can't have
Such a
anything
cool
behind me
scene.
right now. And I was just like freaking out. And I don't know. This movie, I just think it's so well done. Like Carrie said, it flows so well. Um, I I I agree with Hunter that the ending feels very jarring because you're not expecting it to end where it ends. But I
Mm,
also disagree that because I think that's actually a good thing. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, wait,
mm-hmm.
what? It's there? And then like rewatching it, I was like, thinking about it more and rewatching it, I was like, it's kind of the perfect ending because it's kind of saying something about addiction and how you can never really escape addiction and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like it'll take over and control your life. And I feel like using the smile demon for that, I think is perfect. And like what they do with Sky's character and Naomi Scott just nailing it. Um, is just so brilliant in how they take her and just show events that led up to her kind of rock bottom, and
Mm-hmm.
then the event that cursed her with the smile demon, and then everything that played through, and just some of the sequences they were able to do in this, like I was just like, oh my god. It's just like so creepy. And just the way they like, just keeps persistently coming at you. And just the way that it's able to manifest and play with your psyche and like not knowing like what's real and what really happened, and you're losing your
Mhm.
goddamn mind. You feel like you're losing your mind at the same time Sky is, and I just feel like it's just
Yeah.
so well done that if Parker Finn wants to make another one, I would be so down, because I feel like he's able to do similar things but different enough with a different character and a different type of character,
Mhm.
that can take this concept even further if he wanted to. But yeah, I really love this movie. So
Cool.
All right. So we're on to my number 7, right?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 7 is Heretic. We've already talked about that one. So we're on to Chad.
yeah,
Yeah.
my number 7 is a new one, Long Legs.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, Longlegs is a very interesting movie because at the time that it was about to hit go wide release, um, it had that like talk about it around the circuits. People are like, "This is a masterpiece horror movie." It's like along the same lines as like The Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that, and they're not wrong about that. It's very similar to The Silence of the Lambs and like what it's doing. Um, Although, more so in like a supernatural type of way that it does, but it is about like, kind of a serial killer type of a deal. Um, and whatnot. And I love how they, do the mystery of Long Legs for a little bit. And I think the acting's incredible. Nicolas Cage is unrecognizable in it, but he does certain Nick Cage isms in it. And
Yeah, he
at first,
does.
when he was doing that, I was like, this is gonna ruin the movie. Like it's just gonna be Nick Cage now. And I just found it really creepy the way they were able to do it. So I just thought it was like so well done. A lot of the cast is really great and creepy in it. Um, Micah Monroe is incredible. You look at her in this and other roles, and she's just so different and just kind of like very focused, and I don't know, just the way she did that character was really cool. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it like goes into like places that are just really interesting, and I feel like can't wait to actually hear what Carrie thinks. I think Carrie like thinks it's incredibly scary. But I remember you were like kind of like, I don't know about that ending. So it's just kind of a really cool, like interesting ending. And just the way it's keeps you guessing. Oh, and the way that I'm so sorry. Oz Perkins is able to utilize like music, but then utilize like the camera and like the way he sets up shots to and stuff to like create like a sense of dread, and like the way the shot is like she'll be here and then behind her there's open space, and you're expecting something to come into that open space,
Yeah.
and it might never happen, but you're always worried that something will, and it does that all the time. And I'm like, this movie, the way it's constructed, just like really works on that level. So I don't know. I think it's really cool, and really gives you that what is it, like a '70s vibe, because he's like
Yeah.
rocking out to '70s.
Mhm.
And T Rex is a big uh, vehicle, but presence. Carrie.
I thought this was the scariest movie I saw this year. And it is, I can't remember really the last time I saw a horror movie and was like, because I'll get jump scared. I'll think things are scary while I'm watching the movie. It's been a very long time since after the movie ends, I'm actually scared. And
Mhm.
this one, we saw this in theaters and we got home and I was just completely freaked out for the rest of the night. Um, And so, yeah, it has been a very long time since a horror movie has done that for me. So I have this ranked higher. Yeah. What'd you think, Hunter?
Yeah, so I have this one ranked higher as well. This, to me, it lived up to the hype. I have my expectations set high because of coming out festivals. You hear comparisons to Seven and Silence of the Lambs. And I think it takes the Silence of the Lambs idea and gives it, it's not really spoiler, it gives it a supernatural element, which I love. I think Nick Cage is incredible. He goes over the top, but it makes sense that he goes over the top because he's this weird serial killer, and you know, to take that Nick Cage isms and really make it terrifying is hard to do. There's a scene in a car where he's singing, absolutely, like, it makes me laugh and it terrifies me all at once, and I love it. We actually have a spoiler discussion on this on our
Yeah.
page if you want to hear more of our spoiler thoughts. But shout out to Blair Underwood, who gave a masterful performance as Agent Carter, and Alicia Witt as Lee Harker's mom. I think she did incredible. Micah Monroe is also an actress that, since It Follows, I knew she was going to be something big because she had such good acting chops, really working on not a big ensemble film, because It Follows is really her and a few other characters. And I think she brings that kind of vulnerability to this character that I really love. Yeah, this movie's terrifying. It's a movie that once you watch it, you start dissecting the movie more and more. Like, after I watched it the first time, I went and looked up videos and like discussions on it because I wanted to know more about it. And when a film can get me that excited, it just makes me love horror even more when I can go on there and learn more about a film.
Nice.
And now I kind of feel a little bad because you guys are like, I have this higher, but
That's
like
okay.
for
No.
me, it's one of those where, I mean, it's in my top 10, and that
Mhm.
means something. But like, it's one of those where I do kind of feel like it should be top 5 at least. But there's so many great movies that I'm just like, where to place all these things sometimes. That
Yeah.
like I feel like, if because it's been a little bit. I saw Long Legs twice in the theaters, but
Mhm.
which is a very rare thing for me these days. But I think if I were to see it again, it probably would go up higher. So just wanted to say, like, these rankings, especially for me, are definitely subject to change. So
Oh yeah.
uh,
Like, for me, I'm not gonna lie, there are some on here that I've changed around during this video because I
Yeah.
was like talking about it more. I'm like, okay, maybe I like this one more, and just
Yeah.
slight
Yeah.
changes.
definitely
Yeah.
happens for sure. All right, so we're moving on to what? That was my
Um,
The
7.
Carrie
yeah,
Seven.
Or
so my
6.
six. My six is I saw the TV glow. Um,
Ooh.
which is this is one that really grew on me, like the more I thought about it. Like, I watched it and I was kind of like, I don't know, I would say a little unsatisfied by it.
Mhm.
Because it is like a very conceptual movie, but like I couldn't get it out of my head for weeks, and the more I thought about it, the more I liked it, and I can't wait to watch it again.
I can't wait for you to watch it again. And in fact, I would love to rewatch it a third time with you because, yeah, it's Hunter's turn to talk, but it's a movie that I feel like I could watch a lot. Hunter.
Mhm. Yeah, this is higher up on my list as well. Um, when I first watched this movie, I did not know of this director. I had not seen at the time. We're all going to the World's Fair. So this was a brand new experience for me. I didn't really know what this movie was about. I didn't even hear anything about it. So again, another one where I just turned on HBO Max and it was there, and I watched it, and I absolutely loved it. The great thing about this, and this is the one I was talking about earlier when I was like, do you count this as horror or do you not? Some people do, some people don't. I do. I count it more as a thriller, but the idea of like talking about not only trans issues, but also the talk about aging and how scary aging can be, especially the ending of this movie, which is all about talking about like being stuck in a body that's not only aging, but you don't feel like yourself. I think is really, really well done. Um, Plus, I mean, there's a lot of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer references in this movie, which I love. But also the idea of like not only dealing with the trans issues, but the aging and the aspect of escapism, like escaping into something to just get your mind off of everything. As somebody who deals with anxiety, that's where my coping, you know, how I cope with it is by escaping into a TV show or escaping into, editing and videos or something that can get my mind off of my mind. And this film does that really well. It's also very intense with some moments of just like very great imagery that I absolutely love.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this is another one that we really probably should do like a whole episode on. Like once
Oh,
like
I would be so down.
we can rewatch it again because I just feel like there's so much in this movie that to talk about because it does play into like kind of like the love for specific television shows and having like nostalgia for it and like Buffy like Carrie and
Mhm,
I met because of Buffy, well, not met because of Buffy, but fell in love because of Buffy, and so
aw,
we introduced you to it, and I feel like we've
mhm,
all bonded over Buffy and Scream and stuff and whatnot, and that plays like a huge role in this, but also for like certain like shows and stuff where people who are on kind of like on the outside of like what the norm is of in society can actually see themselves in and feel seen and stuff. And then, what this movie also, has to say about feeling different, feeling like, someone that you're not like what society says that you are, and yet you know you feel like you might need a change. And yes, of course, it's about trans change and gender change because they have like trans flags and stuff like that all in it. It's
mhm,
very clear what it's about, but it's also unclear because it's very trippy and it's very abstract in a lot of ways. And there's like people like talking about going into the show, and I mean it's a little spoilery, but it's so
mhm.
trippy that you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. It's got also like in somewhat like very like Cronenberg-esque as far as like Videodrome style.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
got a lot of that in it as well. But the style that Jane brought, I think they really like nailed it with kind of like bringing like a lot of similar style from World Going to the World's Fair, but expanding on it. The
mhm,
cinematography in this thing is beautiful. The use of color is beautiful. Use of music is incredible. There's also Claw Machine, which is the Phoebe Bridgers song that plays in it, and she's in it like singing the song. So
mhm.
there's that too, which is incredible. But like when asking about the horror aspect of it, I think the Mr. Melancholy scene is one of the scariest scenes of the year, but
So
also
cool.
the horrors of what if you don't feel comfortable being who you are and you don't change and life just still goes on and you
Mhm,
just like you're stuck in the body that you just don't feel right in, or not even just the body but the presentation to the world of who you feel like, and you're not able to become that and actualize as yourself. And I feel like there's a lot of great like trans films that were coming out this year, like this, and the documentary Will and Harper was fantastic. Um, Very different. You might be on the more on the fence on this one, but Amelia Perez will probably get a Best Picture nomination.
I haven't seen that.
You should check it out because you might find it
Okay.
interesting. It's I don't know how well it does.
It's been a little controversial.
Yeah, it's controversial as far as like trans stuff goes, but it's I found it interesting. But it's a side note. I'm just saying, like, I like how like trans because right now is a very important time in that there's a lot of like anti-trans legislation going on in government.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's only more vital that we get movies like this that really like show how people feel. And I feel like there's no movie that I've seen that represents as like a cis a cis person, what it could feel like to be trans other than this movie and like the horrors of it. And that's why I feel like it's great. I have this ranked very highly. So that's why I talked a lot. So, but to move on.
All right, my number 6, correct?
Yeah.
My number 6 is Terrifier 3.
Nice.
So, how do you guys want to talk about this? Because you've seen half of it. So,
pretty much exactly half of it, and we're not going to finish the rest tonight, but I think we have to finish the rest tomorrow.
Well, I think Hunter, still just give
No,
your spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. So, Terrifier 3, it bounces off of Terrifier 2 really well, and I love Terrifier 2. As you guys know, I'm somebody who I didn't really like the first Terrifier movie. I love 2 and I love 3 because it builds this great mythology behind it, behind like who really is Art the Clown, who is Sienna, what is their connection, and what can you do to continue this story. I have an episode of Essential Horror Stats where we go, full spoiler detail into this film and what like some hidden meanings. So check that out as well if you want, the full story. But I like that this movie deals with trauma from 2 different aspects. One is somebody who, without spoiling anything, one is pretending like like your trauma never happened and trying to bottle it down. The other one is trying to work over it, but you can't stop seeing your traumatic event coming back to you. So I like how they dealt with that. The kills are also insane. The practical effects are really, really great. And I love that Lauren Lavera, who plays Sienna, she is a stunt woman by trade. So you feel like the fights are real and they have that kind of more grounded feel to them. The whole ending of this film, I absolutely love. I think it goes, without spoiling anything, it goes extreme, and some people will like it, some people don't. I like the way they went because it leaves it open for more story to come, which I love.
Nice.
More Carrie and I's thoughts on the movie at a later date.
Yeah.
There you
go. Where are we doing
You're
now?
number 6.
My number 6 is Heretic.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So my number 5 is The First Omen.
Wow, that's awesome. That it's in your top 5.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Strange Darling.
Okay. Chad.
My number 5 is Oddity.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Carrie?
My number 4 is, this is a new one, maybe our last new one that we're going to talk about. I'm not sure. The Substance. We haven't talked about yet. So pretty high up for all of us. This one is another one. I was so uncomfortable watching it. And at first I was like, I don't know if I really like this movie. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this movie is so important. And I thought so much of it was incredibly well done and well acted. And it's just so unique. And I think it is one, like, I sometimes just have, I feel like I have a hard time with things like, it's like one of those movies that, like, now that I've seen it and I know what happens, I think on a rewatch, I won't be as fucking anxious the entire time about like, I was so anxious the entire time, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like held me back a little bit. But I think on a rewatch, like, I'll know what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna be as anxious about it. Like, that's how I felt about Hereditary too, the first time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think next time I watch it, I can like literally just enjoy it. Um, but it's so good. This is just an incredible movie. Hunter, what did you think?
Yeah, I really love The Substance. This is the one that I heard so much about, that I was getting so much attention, and I was worried that it was getting too hyped up for me. No, absolutely met my expectations, because, and again, I'm getting more into the deeper meaning of this, but the idea of aging, I think, is very important in this film. And what what would you do to go back to your younger version of yourself? And I think that works really well with a Cronenberg style body horror film, because of the idea of, like, you know, in a Cronenberg film, the idea is that, bodies are changing in a way that's grotesque and kind of, over the top. This one does have that, but the idea of taking that Cronenberg style and turning it on its head, where it's like, now we're taking the body horror, but it's somebody trying to relive their youth. So the idea of not making the body more disgusting, but making the body look younger and look better in a way. I love that they took that and then put it on its head. Demi Moore is incredible. Margaret Qualley is insanely good in this movie. Dennis Quaid is a fucking asshole in this movie, and he's hilarious. But yeah, this is high up on my list. Love this movie.
This is a really interesting one because this is like the only one that we've talked about so far that's probably going to get a Best Picture nomination. Which, like,
Yes.
when it was coming out, like, people were like, well, it won. What was, like, at Cannes? It like won a screenplay award, or maybe it was a
Mm-hmm.
different award show, but like, it won like a screenplay award, like, at like a very high honor. So it's one of those things where
Didn't Demi Moore just win an award for this film as
Golden
well?
Globes, yeah, she won at the
Mm-hmm.
Globes, which is a pretty big deal because it's like the first like industry award.
Yeah.
So it shows kind of like where they might be leaning. So I feel like she's heavily predicted to get a nomination.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's not if the substance will get nominations at the Oscars, but where. And I feel like a lot of people are predicting it for picture. I don't know if it's going to win Best Picture, but I do think it's going to get nominated. I think that's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like the substance quite a bit. Or I say I love the substance because I just think it was like so well done. It's it's such a wild movie. Like, it's got like a concept that is really cool and sci-fi and but scary because of like what it can do if you don't use it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then like what that says, like you guys said about oh,
Aww.
please don't wake up, please don't wake up.
Keep your voice
Um,
down.
okay, sorry. But what it says about aging, like Hunter said, and kind of like aging out of uh your role in not society, but also just like the Hollywood system specifically,
Mm-hmm.
like what that industry does to people who don't look the part and they want someone younger and prettier, kind of a deal, which we all know is bullshit. But it's one of those where it takes that concept and does it so well, and just like uses horror to go extreme with it. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
so cool because in the third act of the movie, I'm not gonna say what happens,
Yes.
so wild and so weird and so funny. that it's a great like horror comedy with like really great like messaging in it,
Mhm.
and style is just undeniable. It's by Coralie Farge or Fargi,
Farjay.
however you say it. I've heard it different. I've heard it both ways.
Mhm.
Um, but
Nice.
there you go. But she also did Revenge, which is another really great, cool
Revenge is so
horror movie.
freaking good, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's got like that style, and I think she just like really nails it, and isn't afraid to go there. And she just like crushed it. And I feel like it's just such a weird movie that's gonna end up getting a Best Picture nomination, which is so cool.
We
Like,
should do a whole podcast on this if it gets nominated for Best Picture this year. We should just review it because there's so much like symbolism we can talk about just from the first, like the opening shot of this film. I think could take at least 10 minutes of discussion.
Yeah.
and it'd be fun to rewatch and stuff because,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like Carrie said, with all the anxiety,
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally get where you're coming from with wanting the main character to be able to live a good life, and
Hmm.
Yeah.
but I feel like because it goes so crazy in the third act that you're almost able to relieve that stress because you're like, well, now it's
That
bonkers.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's like exactly how Hereditary was for me too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But also, because some people say, like, well, if they didn't have that third act, it would have been perfect. And I'm like,
I
you need
love the ending.
The third
you
act,
need the
yeah.
third act because it shows just
Hmm.
how fucking ridiculous this body image shit is. So
And
anyway,
also, it literally ties, like without spoiling, it ties in the story of what happens when you strive for perfection, but you overdo it.
Yeah.
exactly, because
Hmm.
perfection is an illusion. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
so the
All
substance.
right. Are we on?
Your number 4, Hunter.
All right. So my number 4 is Long Legs. I will say this: Long Legs is a movie I haven't gone back and rewatched since I saw it in theaters because of the anxiety thing that Carrie brought up. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this type of movie in my current mindset.
Yeah, that's true. That movie also.
My number
Yeah.
4 is Smile too.
Okay.
Carrie.
All right, my number 3 is A Quiet Place Day 1.
All right. My number 3 is Smile 2.
And my number 3 is The Substance.
All right, my number 2 is Oddity.
Nice.
Nice. Is it on me?
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 2 is The Substance.
Nice.
My number 2 is Strange Darling.
Yes. Love that movie, man.
Where are you? Okay. All right.
Her whole thing is elaborate over
It's
here.
like
She's a champ.
All right, my number 1 is Long Legs.
Oh, I love that too.
Yeah. Love that. My number 1 is I Saw the TV Glow.
My number 1 is I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
It was like on the second watch, I finished it and I went, "Oh my god!" I
Mhm.
understand what not fully, but because I'll never know fully because I'm a cis person. But I finished that movie and I was like, I think I kind of get it now. So it's just I don't know. I love how film can do that, where it can
Yeah.
help
On a
you.
rewatch, this movie gets even better because you notice small details. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. Like this is kind of a minor spoiler, but the opening with the little what's it called, the PE balloon thing.
Yeah, the flag. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah. It's in the color of the trans flag, which I love.
yeah,
It
yeah,
goes
yeah,
from one end to the other.
yeah. All right. So now we're done with going through our top 16. Carrie's doing a lot of big tallying, and I did want to mention that uh, for us, but then also for the viewers, we're not going to get to the bracket part of this um, on like what we're recording now. But it is still going to be the same video. So we'll do the bracket another
Yeah.
recording session, and
Should we go through? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
we'll splice it in. Yeah, we're gonna try. If Carrie can get a top 16 overall from this, then we'll reveal that now, and then we'll
Mhm.
kind of cut break. I'll do like a little intermission thing, and then we'll do the bracket in the second half of this video, and it'll all be like
Okay.
kind of come together in the same thing. But we'll just have to record the bracket part another night because it's getting pretty
Yeah.
late, and I feel like we don't want to be like rushing the bracket part. We want to like
Mhm.
actually have some fun with it. So, um,
Should we go through our top 16, like our personal list again? That way we can do
sure.
like mine. Then,
Yeah, I can start with that. Well, I'll go through my full 23. Um,
yeah.
my 23 was handling the dead. Handling the undead, which I saw at Sundance, and not a lot of people have seen. I think only like John Marr apparently has seen that.
Of
Like
course.
you know, amongst my friends, Lisa
He watches
Frankenstein.
everything.
Yeah, Lisa Frankenstein is my 22. Uh, 21 was Immaculate. 20 was Speak No Evil. 19 was Cuckoo. 18 was Destroy All Neighbors. 17 was In a Violent Nature, which we didn't talk about, but I guess didn't make anyone's list. 16 was Abigail. 15 was Beetlejuice. 14 was It's What's Inside. 13 was Trap. 12 was Late Night with the Devil. 11 was Nosferatu. 10 was The First Omen. 9 was A Quiet Place Day One. 8 was Alien Romulus. 7 was Longlegs. 6 was Heretic. 5 was Oddity. 4 was Smile 2. 3 was The Substance. 2 was Strange Darling. And my number 1 was I Saw the TV Glow. Carrie's still tallying. So, Hunter, do you want to go through yours?
Yeah, I will. My number 23 is The Strangers Chapter 1.
Mm.
My 22 is Cuckoo. 21 is Lisa Frankenstein. Number 20 is Infested. Number 19 is Arcadian. Number 18 is In a Violent Nature. Number 17 is Trap. 16 is Oddity. 15, The First Omen. 14, Immaculate. 13, Beetlejuice. 12, Abigail. 11, A Quiet Place Day 1. 10, Late Night with the Devil. 9, Alien Romulus. 8, Maxine. 7, Heretic. 6, Terrifier 3. 5, Strange Darling. 4, Longlegs. 3, Smile 2. 2, The Substance. And 1, I Saw the TV Glow.
Hell yeah. Carrie's still tallying, which
You want to read? You can just read mine if you want.
Oh yeah, I'll read Carrie's thing. And thank you so much, Carrie, for doing what you're doing right now.
Thank you,
Because
Carrie.
I don't know if I could do it, to be honest.
I am just taking an average, so
understood, but you still got to be really smart to do it. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Carrie's number 22, Lisa Frankenstein. Her 21 was Speak No Evil. 20 was Trap. 19 was It's What's Inside. 18 was Immaculate. 17 was In a Violent Nature. 16, Heretic. 15, Beetlejuice. 14, Nosferatu. 13, Strange Darling. 12, Late Night with the Devil. 11, Destroy All Neighbors. 10, Abigail. 9, Cuckoo. 8, Alien Romulus. 7, Smile 2. 6, I Saw the TV Glow. 5, The First Omen. 4, The Substance. 3, A Quiet Place Day 1. 2, Oddity, and her number 1 was Longlegs.
Awesome.
It was really, really great. I can see she's almost done with her tallying.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Whoops,
she might have made a mistake. I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah, like my last one was kind of very easy for this year, just because like I watched Strangers Chapter 1 and I was like, what is the point of this film? Like we've literally seen this before.
Yeah, as any year, there's always bad, there's always good, but I think 24 overall is pretty good.
Oh,
Carrie, think has a final ranking.
Yeah, so we have a top 16. So I just did an average, seemed like the most fair thing to do since we had some that only Hunter saw and some that only Chad and I saw. So, okay. At 16, we have Beetlejuice. At 15, Abigail. At 14, Nosferatu. At 13, Late Night with the Devil. At 12, The First Omen. At 11, Heretic. At 10, Alien Romulus.
Made the top 10, baby.
Yeah. At 9, Maxine. At 8, A Quiet Place Day 1. At 7, Oddity. At 6, Strange Darling. At 5, Terrifier 3. At 4, Smile 2. At 3, Longlegs. At 2, The Substance. And at number 1, I Saw the TV Glow.
I think it's just because we didn't really like talk about what we were gonna do with the ones that only one person had seen. So because, I feel like if we were to rank some of those, like you and I were to have our rankings of certain movies, they probably wouldn't factor in so highly.
Yeah.
So I'll put an asterisk on our top 16. But that being said, I think it's ultimately still a pretty great list. And
Great year for horror.
yeah, I do agree. A lot of like really different kinds of horror too.
Man, the 2020s have been insane when it comes to horror. Like 2022, I still think is like the best year of horror in a very long time. But man, 23 was good, 24 was good. Like,
yeah, and
just
now I'm really,
always different. You know what I mean?
and now I'm really excited to see what 2025 has in store. And I
Shelby
mean,
Oaks is coming out this year too.
yeah, I was just about to say. I mean,
for that.
of course I'm stoked for that. It's about damn time. Not to the fault, not to the fault of Chris Stuckman or any of them, but I'm talking about like circumstances why that movie hasn't been, because like there's like the writer strike and funding and stuff like that. I'm like a supporter of it, so I don't even know if I can review it ethically, if I'm like a supporter of it. But I'm very excited to see it nonetheless.
I'm really excited that Neon picked it up. Neon has been killing it lately.
Yeah. But also for 2025, we're about to get the next Lee Winnell film, Wolfman.
Yes, the Wolfman. Let's go.
I'm incredibly excited for, so I'm hoping that's going to be as great or almost as great as The Invisible Man, that I thought was just one of my favorite horror movies. And if it is, then I'm thinking that might mean that 2025 has some really great stuff ahead.
I mean, based on early reviews, it's getting great reviews. So
yeah. Okay, so coming up in our next half of this video, it's gonna be a long one. It's probably gonna be like close to 3 hours, I guess. But coming up in our video, we're gonna do a bracket of our top 16, where we'll throw it in there and try to see what wins after we do a head-to-head matchups and stuff like that. It's more of a fun part of the episode too. So stay tuned for that. But also, and I'll probably mention it at the end too, but we dropped the trailer for the 2024 annual Primetime Awards. And
beautifully edited by Chad, by the way.
Thank you. I worked hard on it, but I had like a lot of fun doing it, because I was like, let's just do an epic montage. I didn't include every movie that I could have, but I feel like certain things had to be in certain places and matching it to the music and stuff like that, making sure I could actually use the music and whatnot. So I'm really glad I was able to get it out as a teaser for the award show. We've done it before, but I feel like we're trying to make this bigger and better every year. And so we're
Have we
going to
set
get,
an official date, right?
yeah, we set it for February
February.
28th, which is like right before the Oscars. So it's like
Hmm.
prime time, like award season, airing. And we're looking to get some like guests to help present stuff. And, we're
Yeah.
going to finalize our nomination soon, get out polls that people can vote, and just really try to make this a really fun experience that people can be involved in, and just kind of see what are some of the best, like, stuff for horror, like the best film, best kill, best villain, like, or some of the
Hmm.
categories that we have. So, um, actually, I mean, if we want to just really quick go through it, um,
Yeah.
just to tease it, I'll pull up the list of the categories. So we have best feature is our big one. We have best director. We have best leading performance, best supporting performance. We decided not to split the gender thing. We're just going to do one category
Hmm.
for both. And then best screenwriting, best costume design, best effects, which is combination of like
Digital and practical.
exactly.
Mhm.
Um, best cinematography, best villain, best kill, best hair and makeup, best and then best music is the
Mhm.
12th one. And I don't think we're going to add any more categories. Maybe next year we might if we decide we need to, but ultimately we're really excited for this to come up. So hopefully you guys tune in to that. All right, so as you can see, we've changed locations. We've changed clothes. It's a different day.
Mhm.
We wanted to do the bracket on a different day. But that being said, we also, Carrie and I, finally got around to seeing Terrifier 3 and Maxine. And so since then, our rankings, like overall rankings, have changed. And so I believe, well, Carrie, I'll just let you get into it.
Okay. So our new overall ranking, well, yeah, our new overall rankings will be at number 16. No, at number 16, Trap. At number 15, Terrifier 3. At number 14, Beetlejuice. At number 13, Abigail. At number 12, Nosferatu. At number 11, Late Night with the Devil. At number 10, The First Omen. At number 9, Heretic. At number 8, Alien Romulus. At number 7, A Quiet Place Day 1. At number 6, Oddity. At number 5, Strange Darling. At number 4, Smile 2. At number 3, Long Legs. At number 2, The Substance. And at number 1, I Saw the TV Glow.
Nice. Yeah. So
Nice.
I think that's the best way to do it. Carrie and I were able to see two more of the films, and then unfortunately Maxine got bumped off, but we still have Terrifier 3 in there, even if it is ranked a little bit lower than it was before.
Mhm.
And so just brief thoughts on those movies. Terrifier 3, I think, was interesting. I thought it was a decent like continuation from the second movie. I think the effects were pretty good. If you really like gore and kills and stuff like that, like it really goes the extra mile. I mean, I don't think it really goes like that much further than the Terrifier 2 did. I think it's kind of like about the same.
Mhm.
Really, I feel like this one kind of still has some of the same issues that the second one did, as far as just like going on too long. I feel like the first like 20 minutes was just like the one opening scene, and then trying to continue from the second movie instead of like introducing a lot of the characters and stuff like that that you would generally want to do like in the first part. So it, I really enjoy like Leone's like creativity and stuff, but I feel like, as far as like pacing his movies, it's not always the best. And also, probably just for me and Carrie's personal enjoyment of the movie, there was like way more like uh, kid kid harm, child harm than I thought that there was
Mhm.
going to be. And just something doesn't sit right with me, like setting something around Christmas and then just putting a lot of children in peril. So, for me, it was just way too much of that. But I will say, I think that, it really nailed a lot of what it was trying to go for. So I appreciated, some of that. I mean, it was scary. So I'll at least give it that
Mhm.
for sure. What do you think, Carrie?
Um, it was not for me.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate some good gore effects, and there definitely were some good ones in there. But the things I liked about Terrifier 2 weren't like present in Terrifier 3. Like in Terrifier 2, I kind of liked how campy it was, and like
Mm,
some of the actors weren't great, and like
Mhm.
it just seemed to have more of a comedic vibe. Like a lot of it was like it seemed like trying to be funny. And I loved Terrifier 2, like the end, like Sienna's character just being like so badass and everything. And um Terrifier
Mhm.
3 had like, I mean, Sienna is still pretty badass in this, but it's mostly she's like getting beat up and like everyone around her is dying,
dying and
like even more so than Terrifier 2. Yeah, it was just
Mhm.
so much darker, and it's just I don't, if people like it, like I could understand why people would like it too. But yeah, it just wasn't for me.
yeah. But yeah,
Mhm.
because it's so impressive on a like these ones are always so impressive on small budgets that I feel like it's still a worthy placement, just
Mhm.
lower on our list.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I had my way, I would swap it with Trap. I think Trap is a better movie, but it is
We
what
do
it
have
is.
Trap on the list.
Yeah, but Trap is the lowest ranked.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but anyways,
Yeah.
there's that. As far as Maxine goes, I feel like while we were a little disappointed with Terrifier 3. Well, Carrie has a different opinion than I do. I feel like Maxine is even more disappointing just because of the you know uh creativity and like quality of X and Pearl. Like I've even like grown appreciation for
Mhm.
X, over the years. And then Pearl, I always liked, kind of out of the gate. I thought that those were like really interesting. And yet with Maxine, like seeing the trailer for Maxine is hype. It's like it's 80s. It's going back to old Hollywood. It's like colorful. It's like, fun music and it's murder mystery. Holy shit. What's going on? And I feel like we didn't get what was sold in the trailer. It felt like it was just more of like a I don't know. I don't know if it was like Ty West trying to go back to his like slow burn roots, but like I've seen really, really good like slow burn Ty West, and I don't think that this was it
I don't
because
think
Mhm.
this was a slow burn.
it wasn't really building to anything. Like you could
But
say like
then there were murders throughout it. It wasn't like,
but
I don't think it was a slow burn at all. It was meant to be like a slasher.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like because it was like, really like I would say dull for at least like 75% of the movie, like you could say, well, maybe it's building to something even like more spectacular, but I just don't even think it really ever got there. Um and yeah, I don't know. I kind of expected more from it. I always thought that Maxine would end up becoming like a more interesting character too. I just felt like she was
Mhm.
just kind of like a lesser version of Pearl, where it's just like Pearl always had that crazy energy on both sides, like wanting to be something and then having the murderous rage. and I don't feel like Maxine ever really had that. So like, there's nothing, I mean, it was, I guess, kind of interesting to see like her being haunted by the murders and stuff, but I don't even think anything ever really came from that either. So it just felt like so much like potential squandered for me that I just like, I don't know, I just wanted something more from it. I just felt like I was like waiting for something cool to happen. It just never really did.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But Hunter likes it, so that's something good came out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
uh, there's movies that I love that other people find boring too. So, um, I was on a stream recently where I was gushing over I saw the TV glow and everyone else hated it. So,
So good.
it is,
Really?
happens. Yeah. Yeah, they did not like it. I guess it was too Lynchian for them. Rest in peace, David Lynch. We'll have to cover that on a
Yeah.
different stream because now we're going to get into our bracket. So uh, yeah, as I believe we explained earlier on, we're going to take these top 16. I put them all in a randomizer, randomized it up a lot, and then created a bracket. And so we'll see, I saw the TV glow and the substance and stuff like that were like our top, one and two. Let's
Mhm.
find out if one of those wins or if something else wins. It's going to be really, really interesting. But it's only a top 16, so it shouldn't take that long. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get that in here. Heretic versus Oddity. These are two like kind of
Oh,
similar.
great matchup.
Yeah, these are two kinda, like, similar movies, I feel like, where they're super,
Mhm.
super solid and great. Hunter, do you wanna start with this one?
Yeah, I'll start with this one. Oddity is a movie that I loved the third act of it. The first two acts I felt really kind of dragged on a little bit. I know a lot of people don't agree, but I am interested to go back and see, the Easter eggs in Oddity that leads to that finale. Heretic, though, was a movie that just from the dialogue alone and Hugh Grant's performance, I was hooked in from beginning, middle, and end because of the dialogue written and just the change of locations just slightly from in the house where you go from the cozy living room to the attic that's all damp and wet, and this talk of survival and this talk of putting your faith into something, and putting your faith into going down this door, and what will you find, and will your faith pay off. I love that it takes the idea of faith versus belief and really battles that against somebody who is putting logic and reason against religion, and the idea of belief versus you know um reality. I think is really well done in this movie, so I'm going with Heretic.
Alright, I'll go last. Carrie, do you wanna go second?
Sure. I'm going with Oddity. I liked it better. I thought it was scarier.
Okay, so I didn't expect her to be so brief. This one is actually really tough. I'm going back and forth in my mind right now. I feel like both had great surprises, both had great
Mm,
acting, both were scary, both had me guessing. Oddity's scarier. Oddity's definitely scarier. Heretic might be a tad more interesting, like what Hunter was talking about with you know, um, the dialogue and the interesting discussions that they have and the surprises. I think some of the surprises in Heretic are more surprising than Oddity. Maybe just slightly. And I like the Radiohead discussion in Heretic. That's always a seller.
mm-hmm.
I'll go Oddity just slightly because I feel it was slightly scarier. So,
That's
but
fair.
that's a tough matchup, and there's gonna be a lot of those in here. I feel like because this is our top 16, and 2024 was a good year. So all right, so let's go to the next matchup, which is The First Omen. Will it be no, Immaculate's not on
Ooh.
number 16.
No.
So it's First Omen versus Long Legs. I can tell where this is
Ooh.
go. Carrie, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I liked both of these, but I'm going with Long Legs again. I thought it was scarier, and I think they were both really scary though, actually. But Long Legs, I think, was more of like a psychological, scary, like stays with you scary rather than just when you're watching the movie in the moment. So I'm going Long Legs.
Yeah, I'll actually back Carrie up on that. Knowing Hunter, I think he probably will also go Long Legs. But Long Legs, I think, yeah, they're both scary. I think Long Legs is maybe I would say maybe slightly scarier because of the atmosphere and what Oz
Mhm.
Perkins does with the camera. The First Omen has some of like the scariest shots and stuff though. So I feel like they're both very scary on their own, doing different stuff. One is more of a prequel, one stands on its own more. Um, and is more unique, even though it does draw comparisons to like the Silence of the Lambs and things like that. But I feel like Long Legs is one that is just way more interesting and something that I would want to throw on more often. So I'll go Long Legs. I just think it's the better movie, anyways. Hunter.
Mhm. So yeah, I'm going with Long Legs as well. But funny thing, I'd probably rewatch The First Omen more than I rewatch Long Legs.
Mm.
Only because Long Legs is you have to be in the right headspace to watch something like that. Almost like
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. It's a classic, but I'm not going to watch it more than a few times a year, just because of you got to be in the right mindset to watch something like that. But I mean, from the acting to the directing, the shots, the music that they chose in Long Legs, and just the overall cast chemistry they have, I think Long Legs is extremely like well done.
Yeah, very much so. All right, moving on to the next matchup, which is Beetlejuice versus Late Night with the Devil. All
Ooh.
right. That's a pretty good matchup. It started with me. This one's tough. Late Night with the Devil. It's been a while since I've seen it. I really need to rewatch it at some point because it's just been such a while. Beetlejuice is a mess, but it has a lot of really fun stuff that I like about it. So I feel like Late Night with the Devil is more of the solid movie, but I'll go with Beetlejuice, I think, here because I think it just got like more of the iconic stuff I like. There's a Sigur Rós needle drop, which is great. Um, and even though not all of the threads connect that well or not as fleshed out as they should have been, I feel like a lot of the threads are still interesting. I find it funny. I find it fun to watch. A lot of characters and actors are great in it. Great production and all that too. I'll go Beetlejuice. Hunter.
All right, this one's tough because I rewatched both of these. Late Night with the Devil, I really love. It's a very unique take on a found footage, the found footage subgenre, which is like, let's watch this late night talk show episode from this year and the random stuff that happened. The use of the black and white when they go back behind the scenes is really good. The acting is incredible. David Desmalchian is a really good lead in this movie. Beetlejuice. I see that they are problems, but I had so much fun in the theater watching this movie. The practical effects mixed with this CG is incredible. Michael Keaton gets more on screen time as Beetlejuice, and he delivers. I love the addition of Jenna Ortega, and Willem Dafoe, and oh my God, who plays the bride, Beetlejuice's bride in this movie?
Oh, it's Monica.
Monica Bellucci.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think.
she was incredible. And then of course, Robert De Niro in one scene, which was hilarious. Um, I had more fun in Beetlejuice, so I'm gonna go with that one.
All right, Carrie, where would you have gone?
Late Night with the Devil.
Ooh, okay. All right. I was on the fence. I thought Hunter was gonna go late with the night with the devil, to be honest.
I was close,
All
but for
right.
fun factor and the one that I want to rewatch more, it would be Beetlejuice.
All right, so that one moves on. We're going to go to the substance
Oh,
versus Abigail. All right, we're already at the end of this side. So
ooh.
Hunter, you start.
All right. So Abigail, I had fun in this movie. I'm a huge fan of Radio Silence, and the cast that they had in this movie, like star-studded cast, man. Like just top names that are working today. I wish that the marketing wasn't around what the spoiler was, because I think the problem with Abigail is that it takes a long opening scene for some to get a big reveal that we already know is a big reveal. I think if they kept that secret and then built it up properly, that would have been a great reveal for the theater. And I think that kind of holds it back. The Substance is one of the two perfect films that I perfect horror films I saw last year. I just think from the writing and the talk of aging gracefully versus doing something to hold on to your past and your youth is really well done. You've got great body horror. You've got Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, who are incredible, like Oscar-worthy performances in this movie. So I'm going with The Substance.
Carrie.
I'm also going with The Substance. It's the better movie.
Yeah, I actually mirror a lot of what Hunter was saying. Honestly, yeah, I think the substance is like far better than movie.
Mhm.
Abigail's not bad. I like Abigail. I wasn't on board with Abigail like more towards the beginning, but like when it started to ramp up and they started getting into more of like the body horror and people changing
Mhm.
into stuff and whatnot and the music and all that. And then Dan Stevens, going off the
Dan
rails.
Stevens is hilarious in this movie. That's
Yeah,
a
so
fucking onion.
Yeah, so you know, it started to get a lot better after that, but the substance is just great through and through from the beginning to end. To end, because a lot of people will say that it's not good in the end. And I'm like, you need that ending
You need
to
that ending. Yeah.
nail that
Yeah.
messaging. You need that ending. And it just says so much about the Hollywood system, just like body image, confident, just everything
This is
about.
a this is a movie that we should do a podcast on, because the symbolism that we can get into on The Substance is insane.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those. I mean, it's a best picture hopeful. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if it has much hope to win, but like people are really, really thinking this is going to get a nomination, and I think it would be like one of the biggest snubs ever if it didn't. So
Demi
it's
Moore has to be nominated for Best Actress, man.
I
You do
think
not want a Toni Collette thing.
I don't think she's the front runner, but she's a shoe in, I think, basically at this point.
Mm.
But anyways, and it might get a screenplay nomination. It's just like so well written, so well acted. It's got a lot of like satire stuff in there with the way some people are acting. Just a great like dual performance playing
Hmm.
the same character.
Yeah.
kind they are one, kind of a deal. Just such an interesting concept. It's so weird and original and just strange and out there. And that third sequence just goes way off the rails, more off the rails than Dan Stevens does in Abigail. So
This feels like a classic Cronenberg film made
yeah,
in modern times.
yeah. And Corley for G
RJ.
Farge. I don't think anyone really knows how to pronounce her name, to be honest. But uh I'm on board whatever she wants to do because I love this. I love revenge. So yeah,
Hmm.
the substance is moving on. and then we go to the next side of the bracket. First, the other matchup is wait, wait. What are we doing here? Oh, okay. I Saw the TV Glow versus Maxine. Wait, Maxine's not on here anymore, right?
No.
So that pretend this is Trap.
Okay.
That works, right?
So,
Yeah.
Sorry, I
it's
forgot to
also the TV Glow versus Trap.
Yeah, I forgot to put Trap in there. Pretend that's there. Um, Carrie, you start.
I Saw the TV Glow is the better movie. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, as I said earlier, Maxine, I felt it was a disappointment. It was just really dull for me. I wanted to like it so much more because I love the first two movies quite a bit. But then I saw
Did
the
you
Glow
forget the word talking Trap?
Trap.
I was like,
Oh my god.
is he making a joke or no? He's just going for it. Okay.
No, I forgot again. We just explained this and I forgot. That's how tired I am. Anyways, actually, Trap I think is really, really, really great. I love a lot of what it's doing. It's like very campy and very M Night Shyamalan kind of way. I think Josh Hartnett's great in it, and it's one that I just love watching because I think it's fun.
Mhm.
Very like Taylor Swift meets serial killer kind of a thing. But yeah, I Saw the TV Glow. I think is like a masterpiece of like trans cinema, and I just think like all of the messaging that it has about you know uh be kind of being true to yourself and the horrors that people might feel uh not being able to live the way that they want to live in the the identity that they want to be in. I love all the Buffy links that are in the movie. uh that makes it really fun. The cinematography, the color, the music, it's just all culminates into this like horrific but very like also kind of fun to watch movie in a lot of ways. So I Saw the TV Glow rules. Hunter.
Yeah, I saw the TV Glow for me as well. Um, my number one horror movie of last year. I think the messaging behind it is incredible. The writing and the acting is insanely good. The visuals work so well. They're out there, but they tie into the story really well. The music is incredibly good and works with the film. So yeah, definitely, I saw the TV Glow.
Hell yeah. All right, moving on to Alien Romulus versus Smile 2. Oh,
Ooh,
this is actually pretty tough. And I'm
ooh,
going first, right?
yep.
Um, I'm picking Smile 2. It's very tough because Alien Romulus, I think, is pretty great. I know it has, it's divisive. There's not a lot of people, or there's half people who love it, I think. There's half people who really don't like it. Um, but I feel like, it uses a lot of the fan servicey type stuff to great effect to make you feel like you're back in the Alien franchise. Has a lot of great practical effects, just visuals. It's scary. It's fun. It's interesting. I love David Johnson as the synthetic guy, the android. I think like that relationship dynamic with him and Kaylee Spaney is really great as well. Yeah, it's a really fun movie that I actually really want to rewatch. But Smile 2 really affected me. Saw it in the theater, scared to death. Saw it again with Carrie at home, scared to death. It's just like it really knows how to like grab hold of you and just not let go. And the same thing with Naomi Scott in this movie is like she can't figure out what's real, and she's spiraling out of control. It's a great like allegory for the drugs like kind of
Mhm.
grabbing you and not never letting go. And it's a very nihilistic movie as well. It's like maybe you can never escape this downward spiral. um and honestly, I feel like Naomi Scott should be like in Oscar contention because like she is incredible in this movie. So yeah, Smile 2 is great. Hunter.
Yeah, I'm going Smile too. Alien Romulus is a great return to form for the Alien franchise because of the fact that it takes what was great about Alien and Aliens and gives us that exact thing, but with new characters, new adventures, and kind of more of a darker tone, like on the edge of Alien more than Aliens. The Alien is terrifying. You're in, a small location, so you're, confined to, this one ship, and that's what's scary about it. But Smile too, man. Everything that Chad said and more. The allegory of using the smile demon on somebody who has an alcohol and drug problem in this movie, a substance problem, and not really knowing if what is she sober? Is she not? Is she back on drugs and seeing this? Or is it the smile demon? You've got so many questions. And there's such a great use of kind of false hopes in this movie in Smile 2 that I love, where it's like you think that Sky is safe and you think she's going with her friend out of town, and then you realize, oh no, like that's the Smile Demon. You're trapped in there forever. You can't get out of this loop once you get trapped in it. And that's what's terrifying about it. Same with, drugs and alcohol. Once it gets you in its grasp, it's really, really hard to get rid of it. And I think that was perfectly done. So Smile 2.
Carrie.
Smile too, I think was better and scarier. But Alien Romulus was good, but Smile 2 for me.
Honestly, I thought you might go Alien Romulus. So yeah, I think we were all wanted to say Alien Romulus, but we just couldn't too because this is a tough matchup. I feel like even though we all swept it with Smile 2, but Smile 2 was so well done. Thank you, Parker Finn, and good luck on Smile 3. Moving on to the next one, which is A Quiet Place Day One versus Strange Darling.
Ooh.
This is very, very tough. Yeah.
Starts with me, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm
Wait.
going to Strange Darling.
Yeah, it is.
Strange Darling is a film that I had no idea what it was, what the premise of the movie was going into it, and I was shocked and surprised by all the twists and turns. Not a big spoiler, but it has an editing style like Pulp Fiction, which is one of my favorite Tarantino films, and the way it's able to mess with time and places of certain people and what does this mean, and cut off something right as it's getting good, only to go back and show you the previous thing that happened that led you to this spot. I think the editing is masterfully done in this movie. The acting is great. Kyle Gallner, Willa Fitzgerald is insanely good in this movie. And it's a slow burn, but it's a slow burn that keeps me invested the entire film. A Quiet Place Day One is really good. Great acting, great monster effects. And I can't really think of anything negative to say about it. I just like Strange Darlings a little bit more.
I'm going to go A Quiet Place Day One. Strange Darling is really cool. Like the editing style and everything is really cool. But I thought A Quiet Place Day One for me was like the better movie, the more emotional movie. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird because I loved A Quiet Place Day One the first time I saw it, and I really loved it the second time as well. But like on the second time, I felt like it just felt less like a horror movie and more like a just very quiet. When it was loud, and I really loved the scary parts um, with Joseph Quinn, where he's like got like so much anxiety based on it. So I really like felt like the horror stuff did kind of further the characters and stuff like that, and kind of like build this relationship between the three characters with the cat. Um,
Mhm.
that like towards the end of it, you are in tears or almost in tears because you have you love this like relationship and they have to say goodbye. Um, but uh, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the horror elements are kind of the weakest part, and it's just like a really great like drama otherwise. But Strange Darling, I feel like really hits me more on like the horror aspect, and I kind of like it a little more. I think it's a little more interesting. Even though I love the Michael Sarnowski quiet moments in Quiet Place Day One. Strange Darling just surprised the shit out of me. I think Willa Fitzgerald's great. I love how it plays on your expectations. And like Hunter was talking about with going back and forth in time and just choosing what to reveal when, and really making you guess about what's going to happen and who's really the villain of this. And then when that
Mhm.
person is the most terrifying person of 2024, and I even say that with Art the Clown being in there as well. I still think what is the character's name,
The
the red
Electric Lady.
electric lady, um, you know, is terrifying. Anyways, yeah, I thought Strange Darling was super unique, so I'm gonna go with that. Um, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is Nosferatu, which Hunter still hasn't seen, versus Terrifier 3. I don't know why I said it like that, but who's starting?
Me.
Go ahead.
Carrie.
Yeah, I'm going Nosferatu. I think it's the better movie. Terrifier 3. If you really love gore, I think Terrifier 3 maybe could be a better movie for you, but Nosferatu, like, just like beautiful cinematography, beautiful acting, like, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Is it me now?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna agree with Carrie actually here, because I feel like Terrifier 3, like that's kind of like the big gimmick is that, oh, what's gross stuff is art gonna do now? And I feel like, while it does have like a story with its main character, and it does have like a mythology that's trying to build and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of the times it just doesn't want to spend as much time on that stuff, and it wants to spend more time on these big elaborate like gross out sequences that are admittedly really well done and put together and just look so real and cool and stuff, but like it just feels like because of that the pacing is just kind of always off and stuff. It's very demented, and like Carrie said, there's definitely an audience for that. There's people that love Terrifier 3, and I didn't even love Nosferatu, but I think it is a really interesting, unique telling of that Dracula Nosferatu type story. And even though there were some visuals that disappointed me, I think overall, it's just a really freaking well made, well acted, the whatever movie, and the atmosphere is really great and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll go Nosferatu here as well. Hunter.
Yeah, so I obviously would have gone with Terrifier 3 just because I haven't seen Nosferatu yet. But the one thing I do love about Terrifier 3, though, is I love the mythology of, the biblical response of good versus evil between Sienna and Art and
Mhm.
where that's going in the film. And actually, as Terrifier 2, I thought was way too long. I kind of wanted 10 more minutes of Terrifier 3 just so we can get more of like the chase scene with like Jonathan and really get more of the aspect around the like that death scene, I guess. Um but I also like how Terrifier 3 dealt with the aspect of traumatic past and like how one person, Jonathan, wants to bottle it up like it never happened, and Sienna, who is actively working to better herself. And then, right as Sienna is getting better, Art comes back, and it's like she relapses. There's nothing she can do to get rid of Art the clown, so she's reliving this trauma over and over and over again. I think that was a really great story to tell from Terrifier 2 to 3. But again, I haven't seen Nosferatu, so it's kind of not really, I can't really compare both films.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it was cool hearing your thoughts on Terrifier 3, because I feel like Carrie and I are sometimes like an echo chamber. I'm like, yeah, it's not great, right? And then like your perspective is definitely welcomed, because I know a lot of people feel the same way you do. All right, so now we're going on to the next round, which is Oddity versus Long Legs. We've already talked about all these, so we'll go quicker on these, for sure. Hunter.
Long Legs.
Long Legs.
Also, Long Legs. It's tough because Oddity is great, but Long Legs. All right, the next matchup is Beetlejuice versus The Substance. Carrie.
The Substance.
I'll also go The Substance.
The
Hunter.
Substance.
All right. See, and then we're almost to our final four. I saw the TV Glow or Smile too.
Oh, this one's actually tougher.
This is pretty tough, but I'm gonna go. I saw the TV Glow. It affected me more. Hunter.
See, this one's tough because I'm going. I don't want to be that guy, but I was more scared in Terrifier, or not Terrifier 2, in Smile 2. I think there was more scares, but the emotion and the beats of I Saw the TV Glow, I think were so well done.
Yeah. Two different
I'm going, yeah. I'm going I Saw the TV Glow. I think that's just a better film.
Man, I thought you weren't going to go that way, Carrie.
I saw
it was tough.
All right. Yeah, it was actually tough. I didn't expect that, but there you go. All right. And then we got Strange Darling versus Nosferatu. Actually, curious where Carrie's going to go with this one. Hunter.
Strange Darling.
Strange Darling.
Strange Darling. All right. Cool. I know Hunter had his hands tied with that one. All right. So then we go out a little bit more. And then here's our top four for this. It's a pretty damn great top four.
Oh, yeah.
It might actually be our top four.
No.
It's not. Is it close? Strange Darling is 6.
Yeah, we had
Smile 2.
Smile 2, yeah. 4.
All right.
Otherwise, it's the same though.
Yeah. All right. So now we have Long Legs versus The Substance. Carrie, I think it's you.
Long Legs.
I'll go The Substance.
This is hard, but the movie I would want to rewatch more is The Substance, and I think The Substance is a masterpiece. Both are masterpieces to me.
I agree.
Because both The Substance and Long Legs are my only 2 5-star rated films on Letterboxd in horror. So
nice. All right. So I saw the TV Glow and Strange Darling. This is actually really tough.
2 very unique films.
I'm gonna go with what I have ranked higher in like my top 10 just of 2024, and I'll go. I saw the TV Glow. Hunter.
I saw the TV Glow.
We knew it was going to come down to this. Carrie, what would you have said?
I saw the TV Glow.
We knew it was going to come down to our top 2 anyways.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Been weird if it didn't.
I guess
if they were matched up together initially.
Yeah.
On the same side of the bracket.
Exactly. Ooh. Yeah. All right. This came down to this. And then Hunter, what do you think?
Of course, it had to come down to my number 1 and my number 2 of last year. I am gonna go with The Substance.
Carrie?
The Substance.
I was also thinking of going The Substance, just because I think these are two great different styles of horror, but I feel like The Substance is more of a horror comedy too, and it's just like I feel like it really hits the horror really really well. Whereas I saw the TV Glow does drip more into drama a lot of the time. So it is what it is. Two fantastic movies, but The Substance ends up winning our bracket. So hey, it's just absolutely fucking insane. So you know,
It's so good.
it's it makes sense that it won our bracket, and
Mhm.
I think it was our number 2 on our
Yep.
overall list, but it won our bracket. So and it might get nominated for Best Picture and win some other Oscars. So I'm very
We can
excited.
hope so.
I'm very excited to see what it's able to pull off around that time. But we've gone on long enough. We have other things that we're planning in the works, as we've talked about, I believe, earlier in the episode. We are doing our 2024 annual Primetime Awards. We're still finalizing the nominations and categories. Hunter's been going through a lot. Carrie and I, the whole house has been sick for like 2 weeks. So
Damn.
We were sick for 2 weeks. Then we had like 2 days each of less symptoms.
yeah,
Like we were on our way to recovering, and then we got another cold.
yeah. So
No.
it's been kind of a nightmare, but it
Mhm.
is what it is. But like soon we'll the three of us will buckle down. We'll get together. We'll nail down those nominations so we can actually get those out for voting. Because we do want people watching to go out and vote in our Facebook group. But obviously you got to wait until we drop them. But as soon as we do, we hope people get really excited and have their voice heard and vote on what they want, because we're gonna have an audience award winner, and then we're gonna have a primetime award winner that and it'll be fun to see the distinction between what the audience chooses versus what we as like a three-party group choose, and see how that works. And then it'll be really fun to release that video. But yeah, other than that, I think we can go ahead and close it out. But unless you guys have anything else to add.
No. This has been fun.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, 2024. Let's see what 2025 has in store. Already a lot of great trailers I've been watching, and stuff. So yeah, let's get to it.
All right, guys. Stay scared.